like genuinely disrupting panels for other people. That's not a kind of genuineness that I. Oh, hang on, the music. Sorry. Here we go. We here. Have Monday. Why does the music take so long to start?
I don't know why it does that. It did that to me too.
Probably my connection. We are here. None of us are queer. And we're going to help you start your week Monday. Happy. Have one. Hi, Chris. What are we talking about?
It was just how the panelverse is boring.
Yeah, I was watching. I missed the dance party last night if they had one because I took a nap like at 3 in the afternoon. I didn't wake up till like 11 o'clock at night. But it's like a lot of the drama happens over the weekend because that's where some people do their weekend streaming, and I guess there's like a flow is something Talcott did is bother flow, which involves letting trolls onto panels, which I was warning against like months ago. So,
but if they didn't let trolls on their panels, I guess they'd have nothing to talk about because it seems like that's all.
Okay, here's how I see it from just like based on my principles of autonomy and self-determination, all that. Talcott can let whoever he wants on his show as his show, and people can stop watching Talcott if they don't like who he's letting on. There's plenty of other panels out there.
There aren't nearly as many as you think there would be, though. In terms of open panels, like open panels are fairly rare. Trying to find if you look around on any given like evening,
like the kind of stuff is there a demand for it, or is it just like such a niche?
There's a demand for it. There's certainly a growing demand for it, but it's still a fairly new concept. I mean, just like StreamYard itself.
How is it a new concept? I've been like, it's not that different than what we were doing on AOL, except it has video, and we were doing people were doing Zoom stuff for years and years and years.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a new concept in terms of like panels or. But in terms of like of shows that are like completely open panels where anybody can kind of like pop into them, like with a StreamYard link kind of thing.
That's what I want to do today. I want to go over the third place characteristics again, and But go ahead with what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that's the only thing that's like different is the open. I mean, there's like panels been around forever, but it's usually like by invite only kind of. It's been like they're usually
it's the third place type of panel.
Yeah, the third place type of panel.
I think third places in general, there is they serve such a useful function that there's a demand for them all the time. Let's hit. Hey, Britt, Chuck,
Daniel.
We're talking about the third place. If you're not familiar with the concept, we're going to go over it a little bit. There was a sociologist, Robert Putnam, it looks like. And hang on, Ray Oldenburg, that's his name. In 1989, he wrote a book called The Great Good Place, and he talks about this concept called the third place. And it's a social environments that are separate from your primary social environments, such as home, which they consider the first place, and workplace, which they consider the second place. So it's a social environment that's not your home, not your workplace. Examples can include churches, cafes, bars, clubs, community centers, libraries, gyms, bookstores, maker spaces, parks, theaters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he identified several characteristics that makes a third place a third place. And I did a few episodes on this on my last podcast, New World Chaos. We were trying to create third spaces. And so this is kind of a continuation for that. And I want to just go over kind of what makes a third place, because that is exactly what we're trying to create here. And when Chris says that there's not a lot of the kind of open panels that we do, it's these third place type of open panels. So I want to kind of just go over what we're trying to do here. with this third place concept.
And hello to Can't Spell Lou. It's as a name I haven't seen before. And welcome to the panel.
Yeah, she's from. I recognize her from some of the other panels. So yeah, welcome.
Anybody at all, feel free to jump on.
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead and
the third place is open, so you can come and be a part of it. So let me just go over these characteristics. One, there's 8 of them that this Oldenburg guy identified. One of them is that it's a neutral ground, and occupants of third places have little or no obligation to be there. It is completely voluntary. You come and go as you please. The second characteristic is it's a leveling place. There's no importance put on individual status. Everybody's kind of the same. What do you call it? Like equalizes status. There's no prerequisites or requirements to
it's not like a private private club where you have to pay a certain amount of money or something to go there. Yeah.
Conversation is the main activity. Playful and happy conversation is the main focus of activity in third places. It's a place where people can come and talk and connect with other people. Accessibility and accommodation, that kind of doesn't really apply here. There's regulars. The third places harbors a number of regulars that will help give the space its tone. I think that's particularly applicable to what's happening in the Panelverse and the individual streams, and they help set the mood and characteristics of the area. I do notice like we attract different crowds and types of people at different times and over the course of our lifetime doing this, and depending on the regulars at any given time, that to me almost defines and creates that particular third place for what it is. And different panels will have different sets of regulars that will set different tones, and people are free to go and find the one that fits them. A low profile, third places are characteristically wholesome. I don't know about how much that applies to this one. The inside of a third place is without extravagance or grandiosity and has a cozy feel. That's definitely what I go for. My first community was called the back porch because people said it felt like we were hanging out on my back porch just chatting. And I'm like, oh, well, that's exactly what I was going for. So I think I'll call it the back porch. They're never snobby or pretentious, and they're accepting of all types of individuals from various different walks of life. And I think we do a good job with that here, to the extent that you're not disruptive or causing a bunch of drama.
Yeah,
they can
be because even in those IRL, third places, they don't. If someone comes in and starts screaming and yelling at everyone, they're going to be they get kicked out.
That is compromising.
The comfort
what you're trying to create with the third place concept. You're turning it into something other than a third place at that point.
That's what people don't understand, that there's a difference between like spirited debate and like having like a light argument between friends, and someone who comes in just starts screaming like bizarre conspiracy theories or obscenities. Everybody is like, you're all gonna die or something.
Yeah, actually, I would mention some of my favorite being on the back porch, hanging out with my friends moments has been us getting into like spirited conversations. Usually it's about innocuous shit, like we'd be arguing about fucking Dragon Ball Z or some shit. But those are always fun. That's like the best time.
The best times.
I mean, and the two other characteristics is the mood is playful, the tone of conversation is never marked with tension or hostility. Instead, they have a playful nature where witty conversation and frivolous banter are not only common but highly valued. I think we more or less pull that off.
I think that
there's some tension and hostility, but I think part of that is necessary to healthy community anyway.
Yeah,
Reddington.
Yeah,
you need a little pepper in the.
Yes,
you need a little spice in the soup.
That's the point I was thinking about with Flo and Jack last night, like when he did a stream on this topic. This is like we're like chefs, and this is our dish. And the dish, like every person you let on your panel is an ingredient, and you want to let on the right amount of spice, the right amount of salt, whatever. And if your dish sucks or it's not coming out, it's not something people want to eat, you are responsible for the ingredients that are going into it by who you're letting onto your panel.
Yeah.
And the final characteristic is a home away from home. Often has the same feelings of warmth, possession, and belonging as they would in their homes. They feel a piece of themselves is rooted in the space and gain a spiritual regeneration by spending time there. I don't know. I would want to make that claim for this, but no, this was actually Wikipedia.
That's right,
the ingredient thing is something I made
Outliers and Exile is people. It's people.
You can probably like broaden that spiritual meaning, like I don't know. Oftentimes I feel like when people like use that term spiritual in that way, they're more talking about like you feel like mentally revitalized, you know?
Well,
like,
yeah, that's what I talk about, like the mental health
in good spirits
effects of a healthy community. And if people are getting some kind of spiritual regeneration from coming here, that's great and amazing. I think that's a little ambitious from what I'm consciously trying to do, but if it's happening and people are getting it,
I get that from.
I get that. I actively like enjoy being on these panels with y'all because
you can be paprika.
Because like
a good anime too.
I've been trying to like more and more disconnect myself from the internet in like various kinds of ways, just because there's things that I find unhealthy. Like I got this new phone, haven't downloaded TikTok on it, haven't been on TikTok in like 2 weeks. I have never felt better. I haven't, no doom scrolling. It's great. It's fantastic.
No, yeah, I mean, like, I only really do Twitter for like a very. I have Facebook on there because it's a way of my mom messages me. But that's the only reason. That's the only thing I ever use it for.
Yeah, I have a messenger specifically for my mom too. It's pretty normal.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But
I would get rid of Facebook completely if I didn't need it to stay in touch with my family.
Yeah,
I don't use it for. It's not a social media platform that I use for my.
Isn't that funny how Facebook started out, especially like it was the college kids thing. It was the college.
It was like the cutting edge platform.
It was like this college thing. It was like you had to have an EDU. You had to have an EDU email address to.
Because it got big. Because it got to where everyone needed one, and then now all of the people who were determining what is cool or not in culture went and created newer, cooler things that everyone migrated to. So all of the old people just were all stuck on Facebook.
Like TikTok?
I mean, like TikTok, Snapchat.
I mean, Twitter technically has been around
Twitter,
as long as Facebook, I think.
Twitter is not what it used to be. Like,
no, it's not. But I mean, for a long time it did. Right, like for a long time it did suck people away from Facebook, especially early on.
Snapchat did too for a while, and I've never understood that.
God,
because Snapchat's like completely like useless for me. I have no interest in it.
Use Snapchat.
Also, it's so explicitly like, okay, I want to be careful with my words here.
Sexual?
Yeah, like there is an inherent. The use of Snapchat was never intended to be non-sexual.
Yeah, I know. It's basically sending nudes to people, so that they supposedly cannot save on their phone, even though all it takes is a separate camera to take a picture of that screen. But nonetheless,
you don't even need a separate camera to take a picture. You can take a picture. All Snapchat does is notify that they've taken a picture. That's it.
Oh, really? It used to block it. It used to say this app's block screenshots or something like that. So I remember hearing people talk about that back in the day. But
I never had that functionality.
I installed it one time because I had a marketplace transaction that someone was like, "Could you talk to me on Snapchat?" Then I immediately realized it was a scam. I mean, it was a scam, and then just uninstalled it. But when I was on there, I saw like their weird their Snap Stories thing, like the news. I don't know what they were trying to turn it into. It was like it was a really bizarre kind of like attempt to make it into a social network, but it's not really a social. I don't know. I never understood what the purpose that Snapchat served in the social media space, besides the selfie thing.
I thought it was for people that wanted that like sense of privacy in their messages.
Well, no, it's
because that was the
privacy.
There's pretty privacy apps.
That's the like line, right? That's the line they used. However, in practical use terms, like all that happened is teens and young adults were using them to send nudes to each other. Like
Yeah.
that's 90% of what Snapchat was kind of made to do, and arguably still does a lot of. There's still there's not really much use to Snapchat, honestly, other than there's like it's because it's a kind of a mediocre social media platform.
It's great if you love an app giving you a shitty looking avatar based on a picture of you.
Yeah, there's the shitty avatar thing. There's the oh god, like
That was the first thing like I noticed. I was like, it had me take a picture of myself, and it this avatar that looked like a Nintendo Wii me from back in when the Nintendo Wii era, like it just looked like it's like this so I was like, okay, this is ultimately how is this Gen Z cool? This is like this would have seemed lame to me whenever I was like 18, and then I
yeah,
was like,
no, it was lame to me too. Don't worry, I was 18 when that was big. So yeah, no, I'm aware. It's very silly. I got one and started using it, and I was like, this is like just bad.
yeah.
I can send you a picture or like a very brief video. Like I think sending anything longer than 15 seconds was like
Yeah.
incredibly inconvenient and stupid. Didn't work well. So
I don't know which are worse, the Snapchat avatars or the Xbox avatars from back in the day. Those were both.
I love the Xbox avatars. Those things were so fucking lit. Don't you dare come after my Xbox avatars.
Good old Rareware, and like they're. I mean, I always I never really could get to look anything like myself, but still
Ooh, also, I want to address Brit in the chat really fast. He says the government knows what they're doing, introducing these media channels, TikTok, to mess with your dopamine hormones balance, etc. I don't disagree with you on the
corporations
negative effects of social media on people. However, I do not agree that the government introduced the media channels. That's not how it works.
Now, I do know the government did have funding behind Google. That's a known fact. I mean, like, the government has definitely had influence over Facebook and Twitter for a while.
Well, they've had influence, but like most of that influence has been them trying to
gather data,
keep them in line. Yeah. Like,
and trying to get and using it to gather data.
Oh yeah, and using it. Oh yeah, sorry. Yes.
And before we go down this road, how are any of us, Chris, Lib, Jeff, going to actually know the exact relationship between the government and social media companies? Like, how are we going to determine that on this stream?
The relationship that we do know is that the government has
exerted influence over what to
right, but that is so vague. How are we going to translate?
Well, I'm talking about the explicit.
Like everything could potentially have an influence on everything. Like, I don't find influence conversations that helpful.
No,
if there's no way to take it into like another level of zoom.
My contention with it is specifically the thing that we do know, which is that government agencies have bought data that a lot of these social media companies have scraped. Now, this more leads into
wait. Let me get this straight. The company scraped it and then sold it, so the government bought the post scraped data.
Yeah,
from these companies,
but it's now.
And I'm sure it was legal. I'm sure it's not nefarious. It's like the government.
It's in the TOS.
It's not illegal. My issue with it is not illegal. My issue with it is I don't like that social media companies can sell your data. I don't think they should be able to.
And they don't just sell it to the government; they sell it to everybody.
No. I know they sell it to everyone. That's how that's how like a lot of these like cold calls.
It just doesn't bother me that much to make a.
I mean, it doesn't like bother me to the. It doesn't bother me to the point that I'm like saying like, oh, the world is over because companies are selling your data.
I never had the expectation, even as a teenager, that my data was going to be private and secure, and that we had the
agree.
systems in place to guarantee that privacy. I
I
never
agree.
had
That's why
ever.
when Edward Snowden's big leaks and everything came out, I was like, yeah, so.
Well, it's not about
I was like,
it's not about privacy so much as it is like what sellable data does. It seems is it creates a market, and it creates social media companies turning their user base into their product.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
But I knew that was happening like a long time ago when it first started.
Well,
Yeah.
but when it first
Like when
started,
Gmail came out and Google.
no. But here's
all
the thing:
that.
when it first started, you were the product in the sense that companies would just put up advertising and hope for the best. Like they're like, oh, Google has so many users, so we will buy some ads with Google. But now it's to the point where like they can purchase this data, and they can like calculate the nth perfect degree to like they can create algorithms to like do targeted ads at
But
people.
Yeah,
they've
like
always
the
been
like
like so.
the infamous story about like the guy that started he started seeing mail coming in for his daughter for like offering diapers and things like that. And that's how he figured out that his daughter was pregnant, because she was searching stuff online about, and they started the advertising got scraped, sent to like those companies, and so like she started getting all these like ads for like baby food and diapers and stuff like that, like sent into their mailbox, like actually their IRL mail. And then he was like, why would you be getting all this? And the girl breaks down and the confesses that she's pregnant, and it's like that and I, like the media companies were able to figure it out before anybody in the family knew, just
Yeah.
from like searches.
My issue with targeted advertising is a part of my broader I think moral issues with the way our economy is run. But also, I will talk about the privacy thing as a separate thing, though. I'm less like I have.
What is your issue with targeted advertising? Because I don't see it as that big of a deal.
Because the methods that they use to get it involve purchasing people's data that was purchased from a social media company who was entirely designed around like sucking people in and then scraping their data.
Yeah, but I still don't have a problem. Nothing about
I'm saying
that end
that
of the world
incentive.
level
Well,
crisis.
it's not end of the world level.
It
It's like,
seems very first world.
well, it's first world, like, because until internet usage begins to explode again, because it will, and more people get like roped into this sort of internet ecosystem,
Okay,
which
that's a narrative. That's
yes, I'm aware it is a
a
narrative.
scenario. But what about like outside of narratives and scenarios that you make up? What is the real world concern now that like you can
My concern is about that narrative, because we know we know that the internet as it currently exists today is harmful to people broadly.
So
It does a lot of harm.
wait. Let me get it. I'm trying to keep it straight
Sure.
in my head. But is your objection to what did you call it? The targeting of advertising based on a potential future scenario that could happen, or a danger that actually is already happening as a result of it?
A danger that is already happening as a result of it, and in
Which
the
is what?
future it will get worse.
Let's address that one first.
Yeah.
What's the current actual danger?
So the current issue is the state of the internet broadly. I'm using that term, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the internet that most people use.
Remember the movie Minority Report? Do you guys remember that movie?
I've seen it, but I cannot remember anything about it.
Well, when it came out, there was a specific scene in the movie where Tom Cruise's character is like he's trying to escape from something, and he goes by a bunch of like big monitors, and they all recognize him, and they're all like they're all like saying his name out loud and being like, what, you know, and trying and targeting advertising towards him. And like we basically live in like at the time people were like, oh God, how dystopian is that? That's so horrifying. And now it literally happens. Like,
Well,
we
my
don't
my
think
issue
anything of
my
it.
issue with it isn't really that it feels dystopian. My issue with it is that it is a part of shaping the internet into what it is today, into social media companies as they are today. And I think that broadly, social media and the internet as a whole is doing irrevocable damage to people. It was just the young people, but now it's
All right, I'll
broadening
bite.
out.
What's the damage? I'll bite. I'll play.
I mean, there's a whole host of things like
Just
social
give me like the top three.
yeah,
Just
okay.
Well,
three,
if you
two or
listen to
three
far right
points of
people,
damage.
they'd say it's people like it's convincing people they're trans and stuff like that.
Wait, I
So,
want to hear.
mean,
I want to hear from
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
People are being damaged. Give me the 2 or 3
Yeah.
ways that like that. So I
So,
can understand this damage.
one of the things is social atomization. Being so connected on the internet with the internet today does not actually always bring about, you know, that like connectiveness. Like people now today are more socially isolated, more atomized than ever before. And
Okay, hang on. Because
Okay.
of social media, or social media is not providing the connection that will prevent that, but maybe that's not something that's fair to expect of it in the first place. Or is there something about social media that's actively causing the atomization outside of just not providing the thing that would prevent it?
So I think it's twofold. I think that there are two major things that are affecting it. I think one of which is oh my God, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
well, I think we can bring it back kind of to the third space thing with this specific like thing. I think
Actually,
part of the
that's
social
where I was
animation-
going. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That is where I was going. So I don't think this is like I think a lot of this has to do with it's in combination with the destruction of a lot of third places, which has happened in America.
You're going to tie it to targeted advertising, I know.
Well, targeted advertising is a piece in this much larger issue.
I mean, but
So
at the same
this
time,
is not going to be something simple. It's not going to be like I oppose targeted advertising for reasons A, B, and C. It's not going to be simple like that.
Because at the same time, like let's think about like let's imagine, you know, back in the days when we had IRL third places, like a cafe or something like that. If the audience, the owners, they get to know you, they know what you want, they know the things you like, they might come up to you and offer you a new drink or a new a dish or something like that they think you'd like. They'd be like, hey, you might really like this because we know you. So in that case, like we don't have any problem with that. You know,
No.
but you could consider that the same thing. Like it's like they are scraping your data in the sense that they know who you are, they get to know you, and they know the things you like, and therefore they offer you things that they think you might like, right? So
I think
mean,
the
like
difference between these is the interpersonal connection.
There's no human element to it. It's done entirely by computer, and it's cold and it's emotionless.
But
and it has no
I
care
am not
behind it.
looking to a computer for the human element anyway. I'm not looking to technology or social media for a human element. So I guess that's why I don't see the issue you see, because I'm not
millions
looking
of people
for it
are.
for something I don't think it can deliver to begin with.
Millions of people are not just looking to it,
Yeah.
but
Well, then
relying
maybe
on
the
it.
problem is with those people and not the technology itself or the advertising itself. Maybe it's the neediness or the loneliness of the humans that tech is coming in to attempt to fill.
Wait, yeah, well, it is that. It's filling the space that okay, because whenever I was 19, 20, there were many, like I've talked about, like me and Lib talked about this on my stream last week, right?
Yeah.
We talked a lot about third places, and like
Mhm.
I was talking about the fact that like there was a third place type this cafe that was in a town pretty far away from where I lived, that I literally rearranged my life to go and get a job in that area so I could go and be a part of that community. Like it was like they were the people I wanted to be a part of. I loved it. I just loved the environment. And it was like it just felt like home to me. So I rearranged everything to go and live there. and be part of that. That's where I started doing shows, and I started doing I started a band there. I used to bring in bands and do concerts and stuff like that. And like that was like a huge part of my life. It was just kind of like where like me, the person that you know now, that's really where my personality and everything really, I think, a lot of my formative years were spent in that environment. And when it fell apart, it was devastating. When that whole thing just fell
But
apart.
did it have anything to do with targeted advertising or social media?
No, but I no, the problem that we're identifying is that the lack of these third spaces that we used to have, right? The lack of having those IRL third spaces, the internet has come in and tried to fill that hole that was left by that. Like in some ways, like, it's a targeted advertising. The way it is now is very similar to like whenever like I used to go to an IHOP every night, and we had this great old waitress lady named OJ. She was this black lady that used to talk about about doing voodoo spells on people she didn't like, and she used to threaten people with a knife and tell them that she had a chicken with their name on it.
Oh my God.
she was
God,
amazing. She was
I love
amazing.
Old ladies. Old ladies are the best.
Oh, she was this old black lady. She was like, I got a chicken with your name on it. Okay. She'd pull out this big old buck knife whenever people would like come in and make a mess. But she loved me and my group of friends. And we had a booth that was ours. Okay. We had a booth that was ours. If other people were in that booth when we came in, she would go over there and be like, I have to move you. We didn't ask her to. We would say, like, you don't have to do that. It's okay. We'll get through here. And she's like, nope. This is where you sit. They sit over there. She would move them.
That is.
I don't remember. So, like,
God, that's such an old lady thing to do. I love it. I love this lady. I don't even know her.
I still have. I mean, I'm sure she's probably passed away by now. This was years and years ago, and she was old. She was in her 60s then. So, but I love that. I love that woman. I love that woman to death. And like she was mean as hell to everybody except for she used to say like, I like you because you don't like people, and I'm like, I'm always around people. What are you talking about? I was always there with like 8 different people, but she was like there was a couple of my friends that she didn't like, and she'd be like, I got my eye on you kind of thing, but it was great. It was like this. It was like our home away from home kind of thing, and it was a very and people knew. If they were looking for us, they would come there and they'd come hang out with us, and it was a very third space type of thing. But when you lose spaces like that, the internet has come in and has tried to, even if they're not consciously, I don't think they consciously did studies and realized that people don't have these things anymore. They realize that,
but they do. We still have coffee shops and restaurants and clubs.
I can't find them. Not places, not hangouts.
And they had them in Louisiana when I went to visit.
And like you can't just go hang out.
So first of all, I'm skeptical of the claim that we don't have those places anymore. But go ahead and make your point about the internet coming in and somehow altering that or competing with it. Or
here in Texas, the only places you could fairly call third spaces would be churches, which you really have to like deal with some degree of religious kind of like focus on it too. You can't just go hang out at a church, and it's like they're not.
What was the point about targeted advertising?
I'm getting there. All right. I'm getting there. I said we used to have, and here I'm saying here in Dallas, well, like the only places that could possibly fulfill that kind of role, there's that, and there's bars, which are usually too loud to talk in, and there's places like Starbucks and stuff like that, but Starbucks is very, very corporate and very like, it does not feel comfortable just to go hang out there, and it's not like a very social type place. It doesn't feel like a place that you can just go and just be there, and then other people will come by and and you can all kind of like hang out.
Well, that's your experience of it, but other people can have other experience and see Starbucks as a totally valid third place.
Maybe it is up there, and I'm talking about here in Texas, like the way that the environment here in Texas.
And you're also talking about your experience, because there could be people in Texas where you live that
also, it is worth noting
that use Starbucks as a perfectly functional third space for them.
No, it can be, but you were reading earlier on Wikipedia the Ray Oldenburg thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what you were reading?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ray Oldenburg. So Oldenburg this is from the Wikipedia article. He observed that while many third places, such as public parks, are completely free, they often tend to be commercial establishments. However, Oldenburg emphasized that chain establishments run by large corporations are, quote unquote, less hardy third places than local independently owned establishments, as they divert cash.
With that. I've seen plenty. I've done plenty of events in chain, and is individual. You can have a perfectly fine. We used to do our peer coffee at Starbucks. We did it over a year. Our mental health coffee meetup once a week at Starbucks, and it was a perfect third place for that.
Like the Starbucks here won't let you do
So
stuff
I
like that.
disagree with
They'll kick you
Mr.
out.
Oldenburg's blanket statement about chain things. I think it does it does not matter if it's chain or not if you know how to create the right kind of third place. I don't think the size or scale of the venue is a factor that influences what kind of third place it is.
Hi guys.
And a lot of that's based on my own
Cynthia.
experience using these places. Hey, Cynthia.
How you doing,
So
Cynthia?
I was listening to you talk about this social places and third parties, and then I heard Chris's, and I wanted to come up. I think I've hinted to this before, but like Chris, you and I are literally probably 5 minutes apart from each other.
Yeah, I know we are. Yeah, we should
And so-
have coffee sometime. We should totally.
Exactly,
Dream it.
absolutely. And I do agree. It's not like Chris was saying, like our Starbucks, but I go to our Starbucks and kick it. But
the Starbucks up close to my house doesn't even have an indoor dining area. You can only walk
wow.
up to it. Yeah, they've started building a lot of them that are just like drive-through only or drive-through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've kind of given up on like the third place aspect after COVID.
So I definitely wanted to touch on that because Chris did mention the religious part of it in the church, and he did say, but it's because he doesn't go to church now. Because I do go to church, I'm always involved with somebody around me's got something going on. So I'm always there.
I think
another thing, before I went to church, I would volunteer. At anything I liked. I used to volunteer at the museum, and then that way I made connections. I was forced to talk to people every day for 2 hours, or the days that I volunteered, and I got to be around art and people who loved art, and I was able to make connections from people. But it's just getting out and putting yourself out there.
I do agree with that. But like that's not exactly what I mean by a third. I mean a third place by a constant, a home away from home type of place that you could go to like after work or just if you're bored at your house.
And
you can just drive to that
Starbucks
place.
can be that for many people.
It could be.
I think the debate on whether a chain can be there or not is a distraction. I'll drop that.
Sure.
I'll drop that aspect.
I would like to talk about the churches thing really fast.
But before we do that, I am getting lost in this conversation, and I need to recover it somehow, or I'm not gonna be able to follow it, because it started out with targeted advertising and the criticisms of social media, and now we're on like in-person third places, and they're not connecting for me. I need it connected to the original topic.
My thing is that in-person third places seem to be healthier for humans than most of the currently existing virtual third places. Most of the currently existing.
Because I have been in both of those. I've been in the virtual spaces and the in-person spaces, and you can create a perfectly valid
I'm
third place in either environment if you know what you're doing.
I
don't think that the medium has as much of a determinant.
I'm not saying that virtual spaces it's impossible to create a healthy virtual third place. What I'm saying is
this one here.
Like this one here, or I've been on Discord servers that have been very healthy, and actually great places. I met a lot of people. I met my partner playing D&D online in a Discord server. I understand the value they can have. However,
so like the argument about in-person versus virtual, again, like just like with the chain stuff, I also find that a distraction. Like if we're talking about third places, they're done right, I don't think it matters if it's chain or virtual or brick and mortar or whatever.
It's not about chain. This isn't about chain. This is about where the vast majority of people are. The vast majority of people are being funneled to a number of social media sites that are not as healthy for humans.
In your opinion.
In my opinion, all of this is in my opinion, Jeff.
Yeah. This is
it's a value. When you say stuff like they're not healthy, that's a value judgment of your own.
I am
not talking about anything objective at that point. About
we can have different opinions, though. It's okay.
I'm not saying we can't. I'm trying to show what it does to the argument when you're talking about something more or less objective, and then you throw in something like they're being funneled to sites that are not healthy for them. It shifts it from something that we can all talk about objectively to his own personal view
I mean,
of
do you think
platforms that I might not share. And then it takes the
do you
conversation
think
out of
Twitter
the
counts as a
objective
third
into the
place?
subjective.
So I can't
Do you think
make
Twitter counts as a third
statements
place?
about belief. I can't make opinion belief statements. Then is that what you're saying?
Is that your experience here, that you can't make
Well,
opinions?
sorry,
or
rather, let me rephrase. I should ask this question better. Are you saying that I should make fewer opinion statements in your belief?
No,
opinion?
I'm not telling you what to do at all.
No, I'm not.
All I did was point out that when you say they're being funneled to platforms that are unhealthy for them, the judgment that they're unhealthy is a personal, subjective judgment coming from you. It's not anything objective built into the argument up to that point. That's how I was doing. I was trying to keep the argument kind of focused.
I have a hard time understanding how Twitter or TikTok could be considered an effective third place, though. I see how like this is a social environment. Like
I think anything that meets those requirements of a third
Discord,
place can be an effective third place. And I think you have to have a very big mind about this, because
I think it's a lot easier on
take very unusual forms that you might not expect.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the focus should be on the characteristics of what, like, is it meeting the characteristics of what a third place is, and less on the form that the third place takes.
Even if the specific community you're talking about does meet the definition of a third place, that doesn't mean that that the vast majority of users on a social media website are using it in that healthy kind of way. So like TikTok is a great example, because there's plenty of full of normal, healthy people communities on TikTok. That is I have seen those. They exist. However, TikTok as a social media app does encourage some behaviors that are not ideal.
Encourage how?
So like the whole idea of like short videos that you can just easily scroll through easily, it encourages people to spend more and more time on TikTok. It's why I joked about the doom scrolling thing. It's a very common thing on TikTok where you just kind of get sucked in.
But Twitter does that. Facebook, like, the algorithm to try to keep the eyeballs on the screen. But what does that have to do with third places?
Because
I'm still waiting to hear how it's tied into targeted advertising.
The target advertising, I think, was more of a separate thing. I don't think
I said that, and then y'all assured me that they're connected, and to be patient, and the conversation, and then it's sure enough, I predicted,
did point
they're
out,
not connected.
I did point out that I do think that technology has, like, the internet companies, like, whether or not consciously or not, have
part of the problem is it started with Lib. It started with Lib was the one with the conversation and then you took it over somehow, and it got on a different topic, and I don't even think that was Lib's original point.
I mean, I think third places tie into some of my original point, but like
which was the dangers of targeted advertising and the atomization that you're tying that to. I don't know if it's causation or not, like because of targeted advertising we're being atomized.
No, I think the atomization happened first, before targeted advertising got particularly bad.
It's like there's this weird like contradiction that takes place where the internet both connects us more deep or more vastly than we've ever been before, but we're still more isolated. Because now, like, things like this, like panels like this, open panels where we can actually have a real-time conversation, that breaks down some of those walls and reduces some of the atomization. But whenever you have like something like TikTok where like the community is built around like one person makes a video, another person makes a response video, and so on and so forth, or those kind of things.
I've seen live streams on TikTok. They have a whole live.
They have live streams. I
didn't know that. I'm not TikTok. I'm not TikTok literate, so that's my fault.
Why is my experience so different? Why do I feel less isolated?
I think it's because I grew up.
Why did AOL break isolation for me and put me in touch?
I don't think
why does the
AOL
YouTube
thing.
and the streaming and Twitter and Zoom feel the same way.
I think
It
this
feels
is
like it's bringing me in contact with more
Yes.
people, not increasing my isolation.
I think it's because it's a very specific kind of the internet. It's more of the modern social media that has really done this to people. And the reason why I think you probably see this less than I do is because you didn't grow up in it. I did. I literally grew up. I got my Facebook account when I was 12 years old.
Mm.
That was my introduction to social media. I have been on social media websites for nearly my entire life. I'm almost all of my conscious life.
I've been on them since I was like.
I've been on
18,
for over
so.
half my life. I've been on them probably as long as old as you are. That's how many years I've
I don't
your
remember.
entire life.
I don't remember the internet that you remember.
So
is, I think part of it. Yeah. I remember what we have now. What we have now is all I've ever interacted with.
What we have now is not that different from the beginning, like the late 90s when it started to take off. The forms have changed,
It
but
feels different.
The basic dynamic of it to me is not that different than AOL.
It feels a lot different.
The dynamic.
Yes, Cynthia.
Wait, I want to hear Cynthia. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, is your issue? Because I keep hearing you talk about. I heard you bring up TikTok and the scrolling of it, and you put it as like the doomsday scrolling. Can we agree that social media has shortened people's attention spans, and the way that the quick scrolling is the way to quickly grab someone's attention, because we do only have a certain amount of time for that?
Yeah, I don't know how much we can attribute sort of social media to shortened attention spans, but it is definitely the case now that people, especially my age, I'm noticing very much more often people have shorter attention spans.
What is your age group?
I'm 27.
Okay.
And
perfect. Congratulations.
Is that millennial or Gen Z?
I am the oldest possible Gen Z.
He's an elder Gen Z.
Yeah, and I have a lot of Gen Z friends, and a lot of millennial friends.
Just like I'm an elder millennial. I'm an elder millennial. I am on the exact. I was born exactly when millennials start. So like I am an elder millennial. So
yeah.
You seem so Gen Z to me.
Me?
Yeah.
So Liv,
I seem Gen Z to you?
Yeah.
And Liv, so
like a lot of the reason we were late is because you're just like someone from our generation. We grew up the same way, the same music, the same movies, the same.
You mean Gen X? You mean Gen X?
Yeah, that's what.
You said Gen Z.
You said Gen Z.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I seem Gen Z to you. I always thought we talked about being very Gen X. Yeah, no, I identify much more Gen X than I do with millennial. It's just funny because like according to the official start of when the millennial generation starts, I was born within days of it. Like I was born within days of it. That's all. Yeah. That's just. But I identify way more Gen X. I grew up on 90s MTV, seeing Weezer and Stone Temple Pilots music videos on MTV, and I remember scrambled porn channels and shit like that.
But Cynthia, ask your question.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to run really fast. Not permanently. I'm gonna be back. I need to go pick someone up, so I'll be back.
No, it's okay. I completely agree. But this is an interesting conversation, and I do want to have it with you more, Lib, especially on our age differences, because I'm in my 50s, and
wait, what? Wait,
I didn't think you were that old.
We're the same age.
I thought
you were like
aged
30.
Well,
you're 30, maybe 40.
No, I'm over. I'm in the game of the 50s. But I like the way you said I grew up on this. So I am curious because I actually remember that my sisters and I, we planned the night that MTV launched. We stayed up and watched it. I remember the beginning of all of this.
You saw the Moon Man thing? You actually watched that? That's crazy,
MTV
man.
And 100.
Yeah, I watched it. And then my dad was so mad because we were still up at 3:00 in the morning and I was eating carrots and I was trying to hide that I was eating late at night. So I hid all my carrots. And he was like, "What are y'all watching?" And
you
so
so you saw their first video. Which their first video was
Dire Straits. I want my
Debugger.
MTV.
no, it was
It
Video
was
Killed the Radio
Video
Star.
Killed the Radio
No, I'm
Star.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
But no, Dire Straits' Money for Nothing was one of the first
But, well,
videos
that came
played as
later
well.
because that was like 1984.
Was it later?
That song even came out.
Was it? My bad.
Okay.
But I do remember the Moon Man, my sisters and I just remember this is amazing music on TV because I had the 8 tracks.
Yeah.
I used to walk around with my bag with all the 8 tracks, and then I went to the cassette tapes, and then the cassette tapes faded out, so I used the cassette cases as makeup to hold my makeup in my purse because I loved the case.
How many did you make mixtapes? Did you make mixtapes?
Of course, and then we
Of
did
course,
burn
yeah.
the CDs, and I saw the generation
Mixtapes are a lost art form. There is a lost art form to make not a mix CD, but a mixtape. Actually sitting down with your other music and actually knowing exactly when to hit stop and like how to structure a mixtape. It's a lost art form, man. Like people don't these youngsters today, they don't understand. Their playlists on Spotify, they don't compare.
No, you'll never understand the struggle of trying to find art online that isn't AI generated. That's the struggle you'll never know.
You know what?
That's our struggle.
Lib, go pick up who you need to pick up and come back.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go pee too. So you and Chris.
Okay.
All right.
What up, Chris?
Cynthia. So, I understand what you're saying entirely. Like, because like we did, like me and my wife before the COVID thing happened and everything kind of got crazy and all of our maladies took place in the last 3 years. We did actually have we did quite a few different like social type things, but none of them I think counted as third spaces because like even though they were social places, but they were like one time kind of like they were one time event type things.
Right.
The reason I say I don't really see churches as an effective third space is because they're not open you can't go to them 24/7. You can't, like it's. I mean, I guess, and it doesn't have to be 24/7, but but like for us, like it was like I said, we had an IHOP that was 24/7, and we would go there and drink coffee. We would get off of work at the movie theater I worked at, and we would all meet there and drink coffee until like 6 a.m. And like I mean that's like or that we had a coffee shop that wasn't 24/7, but it was like the place that we would go to before it closed, and we'd moved to the IHOP, but it had like it had like a little porch outside of it, and like we would sit out there and play guitar, and people would drive by, and people just knew to look for us or look for people there. It was just like if you were bored, you were lonely or whatever, you could just go and drive to like 2 or 3 different places in our little town, and like we had like these spaces that were that we could always kind of like it was kind of like the Cheers kind of thing, where everyone knows your name kind of thing,
right.
Like and even if people didn't know your name, like they were people, we were always welcoming. Everyone was welcome to come and sit down and bring their guitar if they wanted to and jam along or sing along or do whatever they wanted to, and we'd make up dumb songs, and we did those were kind of like that was the kind of third places that I had growing up that I don't have today, that I missed, that I mourn for my children, that I don't see that I don't see many places like that emerging anymore. That's the reason why that's my goal. That's my actual is to create such a third place that would be centered around like streamers and streaming, so that we could bring the streaming this kind of thing into the real and have like a place where people could go and collaborate and create content and create things like we used to make music and stuff like that, and make music and stuff like that too would be part of it. But I want to create a place that would be an open environment that like would be open like pretty much all the time, and people could just go there, and a place that you could just go by any time and something would be happening. And that's my dream. That's the dream I have. I'm not saying I may never reach that dream in my lifetime, but that's my dream. Is to create that kind of space, mostly for my children, so that whenever they get to that age, that they have a place like that. They have places that they can go to and be part of that kind of thing. So, and my parents did just open up a coffee shop, like I mentioned. I think I mentioned it on the stream I did with Lib. They opened a coffee shop back in my old hometown, which was just so bizarre to me that they did that like without even talking to me, because I was talking about doing that for my whole life. I was like, I want to open this coffee shop, I want to do this, and then they opened one themselves and didn't even like, you know, ask for my help. And it was kind of hurtful, but I was like, damn, like you did the thing that I always wanted to do, and you didn't even like tell me about it before you did it. And yeah, it's gonna suck. But I mean, like, I mean, they're not like rich or anything. They got lucky with some things. So, but but even that their place is very it's very, but they did a very good job making it very homey and everything like that. But there just aren't there aren't as many young people there in Texarkana there to really make that into like a third place. But if I end up moving back there, you know, I'm going to do everything I can to try to transform that into something, you know, I'm just going to like, you know, just go in there and manipulate my parents into like letting me make it into more of a third place. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, but with the churches and stuff, I mean, you know what I mean? Like how like that, it's not like a constant place you can always go to. It's a place you can go to like once a week or twice a week.
So,
or for like,
yeah, but a lot of churches have community
so I have
activity outside of just mass, and some of them will even
Right.
have a community center or
we do. So
you do? Which church do you go to? I'm just curious.
I'm not. We can talk about that offline
Okay.
listen,
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I don't want to talk.
So listen. So what my Sunday school teacher, he retired from being the Sunday school teacher when he was 94, but he still goes to the class and we still treat him like the teacher. But he works for NASA, and so he would have to constantly travel to new cities to get their satellite stations set up. So of course, him and his wife, but he would also take a team with him. And he spoke about every time they went to a new town or city or wherever, everybody else on the team was in a constant, like they were depressed, they were miserable, but him and his wife were constantly just having the time of their lives, because the first thing they did was get into the church and establish a community there. And then from there, they were able to build relationships, like the wives, like they would have their sewing circles. He would have his activities too, but they would, every time, the first thing they did is they established their relationship. And so for me, that just, I gained from that the importance of making that first priority, because without that community, the other people were sad. They were truly lonely, but they didn't get out there and get involved. And so they weren't having the same experience as him. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. That really is.
Yeah.
That's very important. I mean, yeah, and I would involve myself in church. It's just like I've tried several times and I can't keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
about my views and stuff and I get kind of like people try to exercise me, or you know, I mean, excise like the demons from me and shit like that. Like they think that I'm a heathen. Yeah.
what denomination
going to? Oh my gosh.
It doesn't matter. Like usually, even everything from evangelical type churches to Baptist churches to other places like that. My parents go to a church called Fellowship Bible, and like anytime I go there, I just keep my mouth shut, and I don't say anything about what I'm thinking about the various rituals and stuff they do in there that I find to be antithetical to the words of Christ, and so like I tend to have to just like keep my mouth shut, because but like at that same church though, whenever I was younger, like that we had the young adult minister that was there. He was this great guy that was like really open-minded, and he was probably the only spiritual mentor I really ever had. He was the first person that was ever actually and we had a third place with him for a long time, where like his house, he lived in this amazingly cool house that's in Texarkana. It's still there as far as I know. I don't know who built it, but the guy who built this place included like there's secret doors, and like the kitchen, like one of the shelves, like if you move one of the shelves, you can open it up and it goes into like this little like secret like den area that you can't get to any other place. Wow. It has like a secret attic upstairs where there's like, it's like really low ceilings, but he has like this very very like old school like smoking room, like like a library smoking room, like it has like pipes like laid out on the table. It was this house was amazing. We used to go hang out there all the time, and it was like it kind of worked as a third place for us too for a while, but until he moved from there. And yeah, so like I'm just saying, like, yeah, I know churches can be really good for that sort of thing. If the people there aren't like, you know, super religious and closed-minded,
Well, it's a
as long as they're,
church.
yeah,
Jeff.
I know, but to me, the churches should be places where you can converse
Just
about
don't be
ideas
too
about
religious.
spirituality and not be judged for it, as long as
But
you're not
here's
going in
my
there.
thing: when I hear stuff like this, if it's not your thing, just don't go there.
Right? Yeah.
So
Which is why I
Jeff
don't.
brings up
I
a
didn't.
really, really good point, because this is another issue that I have in general with people who dismiss church after one church. Like, you have to audition churches, and that's
I
totally
have.
what I did. And so every church I visited, there was some that I walked in, is like, I will never in my life walk in this place again, but let me play nice for a few minutes. And then there are other places that I'm like, okay, I feel something, let me sit with this a little bit longer. And then I eventually found one. And I feel like the art of, like, people just think, oh, I went to a church, that's it. All churches aren't the same. All jobs aren't the same. All Dollar Trees aren't the same.
Yeah, I grew up in tons of churches. So like my dad was a minister and we moved around a lot. Because my dad found himself at the judgmental end of some. Even my dad's a really fundamentalist Christian, yet he was still too radical for some of the Baptist churches he was ministering at, and so he got fired and had to go find another place to be a minister at for a long time growing up, until he finally moved out of that space and went back to working in computers and stuff like that, and which was his major. And he majored in computer science and minored in theology. And so he did a lot of, but he was a youth pastor or a music minister or an associate pastor at many different places when I was growing up, and so there was a lot of, like, I have a lot of good memories from churches. You know, I was always like, since he was a youth pastor, usually I grew up around all the older kids, so I always was kind of like, you know, trying to hang out more with the older kids than I was the younger kids, and it was good for me in a lot of ways. I was homeschooled, and I had a really active social environment wherever I was.
So you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, and like when we moved to Texarkana, my parents stopped going to church. They didn't have a church they felt like they were comfortable with, and I started going to a church called The Gathering, that was a really non-denominational type place, and I was really involved there until the pastor became a megalomaniac and decided that he was God, and I left that church rather publicly. Like, I didn't, like, not trying to be publicly, but he made this big announcement. He was like, if you have a problem with what I'm saying, basically, he was basically saying that I am the voice of God for this church. If you don't agree with me, you can get up and walk out right then. And I was like, and I got up and walked out, and like I was the only person that did.
Wow.
So I felt all the eyes on me and shit like that. I was just like, well, never going back there again.
And I hate that happened and you had that experience, because you still are looking for that connection, and that one experience hindered it. You, like, you gotta.
Well, no, I mean, I've gone to lots of other churches since then. Like, don't get me wrong, I've tried lots of other churches. I haven't in the last 10 years maybe, but I did for a long time. I went to lots of churches for a long time. I just tried a lot of places. A lot of churches around in Dallas are just kind of intimidating. There's a lot of mega churches here.
I would never.
There's a real split dichotomy between mega churches and really small town, like old fashioned like country churches, and there aren't a lot of in between ones that I've seen. And like if I saw a good in between one or something like that, it's not like I wouldn't be like opposed to like going and checking it out. It's just like it's just not. It hasn't been a priority for me for a while. But at the same time, like, it's not like I'm opposed to it. I just like it's just like it's hard to find churches that are that are open-minded about the things that I talk about and stuff like that. I have a lot of Gnostic type influence in my theology, so a lot of that stuff is considered very, very taboo. So
another thing that I always suggest to people, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general, is I always, like, if you have someone in your life that they seem to be balanced, I always engage more, ask them more about their faith, what they believe in, do they go to church, you really have to ask a lot of questions, like probe people, and not in a negative, dirty way, but be curious about this stuff, and ask, because people, especially of faith, enjoy sharing it. Whether, I'm not saying people who believe like I believe, I'm saying people who are spiritual enjoy sharing in that. So don't ever be intimidated or nervous about asking somebody about it, is what
Yeah.
I've always suggested to people in my real life when we have these conversations.
I got really spoiled too because I went to this I inadvertently started my own church kind of in a way whenever I was working at this coffee shop the one that I mentioned that was like this third place. I moved my whole life around, and like literally one night we just had like this, we started like this kind of like just group discussion kind of thing. We just like a bunch of random people had come in and we just started talking about like just different things, spiritual topics and stuff like that, and it turned into like this, like we just like kind of got in a circle and started talking about stuff and just had like this really interesting conversation. And I was like, yeah, let's do it again next week. And next week, like instead of like being 8 people, like 30 people showed up. And I was like, holy shit, like 30 people showed up. And then like that one went really well. And then the next week it doubled again. And so like and it doubled, yeah, but it doubled like in a way that where it was uncontrollable. What made it so appealing was that, you know, it was like everyone had a chance to speak and kind of get their thing out. And I started preparing like ideas and concepts for each thing like that. And to the point where like the lady that ran the place, who was a Methodist, it was a Methodist ministry that was running this place, and like they were very open about like what we could do there and stuff like that. And most of the kids, they were all like Christians or Christian adjacent at least, and they sent me to this conference, this 3-day conference in Waco that was for postmodern churches, which I had never even heard the concept of. Which these days the term of postmodern has been villainized quite a bit, but I went to this place in Waco and like it was revelatory for me because like it was like the pastor of this church like opened the thing up and he started out and he came out and he held up a copy of the Bible and he said, "This is just a book," and he threw it on the ground. And he's like, "There's nothing wrong with that because that's just a book. It's just a book written by people. The words in it can be extremely important for you. They can speak to you. They can teach you all sorts of things. But it's just a book, and we do not worship a book. We worship a God, and we put God in these boxes and all these things like that." And he talked a lot. And like I went to all these things and like. And it opened my mind up about like what, you know, spirituality and Christianity was. And I of course I didn't live in Waco, so I couldn't like go to that church. But it was a huge deal for me. It changed my whole outlook on that. And I went back to that like with this, like, you know, I was all fired up about going back and leading this like Bible study thing that I started creating, that it wasn't even a Bible study, it was more like a discussion group. But then it literally grew so quickly, it grew so fast, and I didn't have people to like split it off. I mean, it needed to be like split off into little cells and like, you know, like stuff like that. And I tried to like recruit people to like try to like, you know, lead different like, you know, groups and stuff like that. And like it got to the point like the last night we had it, the entire place was full to capacity. We had kids from all over like this campus and everything that were all there. And I had no idea how word had spread so fast and why it spread so quickly. And I was just like losing my mind trying to manage, like trying to basically like pastor, like I understood like the complications of being a pastor, trying to like deal with all these people all at the same time. And like, and it kind of fell apart because people couldn't get that kind of like, you know, individual connection they were getting from the initial few weeks. So it only lasted about 3 months, but it was like it was a real teaching experience and real learning experience for me. But like, you know, I've been chasing that ability to. And like, I mean, even whenever I managed like the movie theater in Las Vegas, like it was kind of a third place for not just us as a workplace, but like we had people that came out there and hung out, and it was a social environment for people. And I've always been trying to create those kind of places everywhere. So, you know, I am in very, you know, I just like, I believe in third places so much. It's just like, it's like my passion. It really is. It's like it is the passion I have, and it's something that I find here in this panel, and sometimes on other panels. I find that kind of camaraderie. We find there's a good balance between, you know, between people that are there just to like scream at people and people that want to have a good conversation. But
are
you know,
do you enjoy those third parties because you feed off of the energy from the other people as well? And is it difficult to do that same thing via metaversely?
I get a really good sense of it from like these panels like this. Like our panel is very it feels like home to me. Like this like Outliers and Exile. The reason I'm here every day, the reason even if I have a doctor's appointment, like I will still try to go on my phone and try to be a part of it, is because it feels like home, and I don't feel right whenever I'm not here. You know, like if I just miss a whole day, it just feels wrong. You know, and so it does fulfill, but I think that there is that IRL aspect of it is something that is missing from so many people's lives. And not everybody can connect over the internet like that. Not everyone can get what I get out of this,
right?
Through the panels, like through video and voice. Not everyone can get that. Not everyone. Some people can get it just from chat rooms. Some people can get it from like being in chat rooms and talking to people in chat. Some people can get it from, which I don't get as much out of. I get something out of it, but not as much. Some people can get it from the video type things like this. Some people can get it from those parasocial relationships where they're not even contributing. They just like to watch the same creators over and over again. Some people get it from, need the IRL spaces, and I feel like the IRL spaces are becoming more and more important. But I feel like we need spaces that are not just like that could be co-opted into being third places, but are designed to be that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a real lack of those.
What would be the difference between a space you co-opt and a space you design?
Just the intention of it, the intentionality. I think intent, just like it is.
But that's what, right? That's what I was going back to about the third place itself is the space you're creating among the people there with those characteristics. It's not necessarily connected to anything physical. I think it's like a state of mind or a state of being that anybody, like any group of people, can come and create anywhere.
Maybe so. You might be right. You might be absolutely right about that. My thinking might be off on it. I'm not claiming I'm like a.
It's kind of like church. They talk about church. Church is not the building. Church is the people that come together and create the community. And they could do it at a McDonald's, a coffee shop, whatever. But they could come together and create that church community feeling wherever they gather. And I see third place kind of the same way. It's not about the physical location. It's about the environment that the participants come together and create.
Yeah, a third place can be someone's house,
and it can happen online. It
can be a literal back porch
in a chain restaurant. It could happen.
Yeah.
On somebody's back porch.
Like one of my third places was an IHOP. I mean, that's a chain restaurant. It's not like it's not corporate. It just didn't.
So when people talk about third places,
they
get caught up on like what physical locations make a good third place or not. But I think that's not the best way to look at it.
I've seen places around here. I've seen vape shops around here that seem to function as third places for people.
I love liminal spaces. Yeah,
some spells are liminal spaces. Yeah, I mean, I've seen vape shops around here where there's they're literally you can tell that there's regulars that like go in there and they just like, even though there's no place to sit or they just hang out. They just hang out. Comic book shops can work that way. Like old time back in the day, record shops were like that. Like whenever we had Tower Records and we had CD Warehouse and stuff like that. Yeah, those kind of places definitely worked in that kind of thing. And we have a place here in Dallas that I always thought seemed like it'd be a really great third place called Josie Records, but the staff there are pretty snobby and they seem to watch you really carefully, and you don't really feel comfortable just hanging out there. So it's like it doesn't really work that way. It has to be a place that feels welcoming even from the staff. The staff has to be the staff is kind of part of it. They have to be they have to be people that are just really excited to talk to the new people that come in there, and that are, if it's a place that's centered around something like a record or about movies or something like that, the people need to be kind of nerds. They need to be kind of nerdy. For a long time here, there was one good third place we had. The bar cafe that was connected to one of the Austin draft houses here. Alamo draft houses used to have weekly Cards Against Humanity nights and D&D nights and stuff like that. They had and it was it was a pretty chill environment. It was just really far from where we lived, so we didn't go out there very often. But Yeah, it's just not hard. It's just not easy to find.
That's
and all those places shut down during COVID too. So
that's an unrealistic thought to have people that work at these stores, these young kids who grew up on social media, to have them be ready to engage.
I agree.
People, especially they're going to stay on their phones. Like, it's a job. They're not there for the love of the art. They're there for the love of the paycheck. So that's an unrealistic. It sounds like you kind of set yourself up to be let down.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
And so it's well, then you're never going to win. And I'm saying anybody,
but it didn't used to be like that. I'm saying it, but it didn't used to be like that. There used to be places where you could go around just talking to the staff, and there's still you still meet occasional people that are excited to talk to new people, stuff like that. But a lot of that comes from the top down. A lot of that's top down too. Like when the management is really is like that, the employees will be like that, and that sort of thing. I mean, it can be created, it can be cultivated. I'm just saying
I could walk into a big box grocery store and I know everybody by name because I went out of my way to learn them by name. I can walk into the gas station and I know her name because I went out of my way to make sure.
Well, you are a social butterfly, Cynthia.
I'm not a social butterfly.
That's how it is in that culture. That's how Louisiana is too. Everybody does it.
I'm very, very not interactive. What's the word? What am I? Introverted. But
you don't seem introverted at all.
I'm introverted. But when I go out, I understand I have to be out. Like, I can't be an introverted person in the outside world. Now, I'm not outside having conversations with people every single day because it's not uncommon for me to sit in my house for 4 days and never leave. But when I do step out, I'm going to have the most fun doing it because it's a privilege, it's a joy, it's an opportunity that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a social butterfly, though. Definitely never think that.
I would have.
I would have thought you were, but it's okay. I can be wrong. I mean,
it's hard to tell with Southerners though, because Southerners always, like every Southerner, seems like an extrovert and a social butterfly. So it's hard to tell which ones are actually the introverts.
I mean, I can be, but I'm one of those people. Like, I can be both. I can be extroverted about certain things. I can be extroverted about certain things, but I also, generally speaking, am much more of an introvert. But at the same time, I can be extroverted at times. I can be extroverted in these. If I'm in a space where I'm comfortable, I can be very extroverted. If I'm not, it's not a space I'm comfortable in, though, like that ability to reach out to random strangers, trying to make connections, I find that it typically has gone very badly. I used to go to concerts when I was a kid, right? And you go to cons. And I went to concerts partially because of the social aspect of it, because you're going to a band that you liked. Other people that are there, they also like that same band, so you immediately have something in common with them, right? These days, going to a concert for a band that I really like or something, and you'll be standing next to somebody and you try to just be like, hey, how great is that or whatever, and they just look at you like.
That's never been my experience at a concert.
Well, I'm saying
You're older, and there was
that
one concert. I don't know how much conclusions you can draw off of that.
I'm always like, hey, can you pass that joint?
Well, if there's joints going around, yeah, I mean, maybe, but there's not a lot of joints being passed around in shows these days. The ones I've been to, not in the last few years. But
yeah, that is true. That is true, because I have noticed a difference. But they used to not be that way. It used to.
I mean, they don't allow smoking indoors pretty much anywhere, so you can't really.
Right.
And we would take our daughter too and stuff like that, and some so I guess that doesn't
And then the cities of Dallas and Arlington and they always have those market days and then those fair days that are free just to go and walk around and meet different people, and oh wow, you grow
the farmers market on Sunday and Saturday here, the farmers market downtown, it's awesome. But I can't say I've ever had much luck meeting people there, but it's a fun thing to do. It's a really fun social space to be in. It's really fun. I mean, it's expensive too, but it's very, very fun.
Oh, definitely.
They have Scotch eggs that are this big. You've seen those
but
Scotch
it's interesting to talk to them about, because they enjoy talking about. So I just strike up conversations asking them about them and what they have going on, and it just takes off. Chris, it should be no different from speaking on a panel as it is in real life. You understand the flow. You understand how to get the flow going. You understand when the rhythm comes down. You, being the maestro, understand how to bring it back up. I think it's not as difficult as some. I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general, it's not as difficult as some. Like sometimes we have a tendency, myself included, to get in our own way. Is a better way I'm trying to say it.
And doing this show and doing these panels has opened me back up a lot. I mean, I went, because of a lot of things I went through, I became very isolated and just basically like I didn't talk to people for a long time. When you don't talk to people at all for a long time, when you're literally just like silent, like literally the only voice you hear is the one in your head for like a couple of years. That can do things.
You just have one voice in your head.
I mean, like I do. I have my fair share of like, you know, where you interview, like, you know, you interview yourself or something like that, or you imagine yourself in places like that. But it's really just one voice. It's just the same voice. You know, I'm pretty conscious of that. But I was isolated and kind of in a silent place in my life for a while, and this was at a time when I was trying to be extra social. When all this stuff went down, I was really trying to get out of that. We were actually trying to go out and I was trying to get this band together and all this stuff. And I was trying to start this store, and I had all these plans and everything. And then everything went to shit. And it really I crashed, as we used to say back in like the drug days. It really crashed my roll, you know, and it put me in a real negative space of mind. I think for a long time, and getting on these panels and stuff like that. But it was hard for me to do that. I mean, like whenever to come back out of my shell, it was like I remember going on PF Young's and going in. That's how I met Jeff, was through PF Young's chats on his live streams, and I remember my heart beating fast the first time, just trying to make a comment. Like it would seem so silly. It sounds so silly to think that, but just making a comment on a YouTube thing made me feel scared. I felt nervous and scared, and I felt like that fear of rejection, or whatever you want to call it, right? You know, you feel like that fear of just being being ostracized or something like that, without any kind of real reason to feel that way. And Jeff was kind enough to reach out to me and talk to me, and like that's how I met him, and you know, things have gone from there. And so all it takes is like the one step, but sometimes that step can be terrifying and I know if it's terrifying for me, someone who has been out there and done this kind of things, I'm sure there's some people that have never even had those experiences, have been on their phones their whole life. I mean, making those to actual, like trying to actually like message a specific person, you know, that's especially when it's not just like trying to like hook up with somebody for sex and stuff like that, like everybody tends to do, I guess, these days. I don't, but you know what I mean? Like, but like outside of that, like a lot of people don't seem to feel uncomfortable. And there is like this weird thing, like, you know, if you're a male and you actually try to talk to a female in a public space, there is this immediate kind of like, what are you doing? Kind of like, you know, like
I even get
thing.
that, but some of that's cultural. It's not everywhere, but there are some regions where it is like that, and I even get that. You
know, and like, I'm not trying to hit on them, or I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just like, I'll be like, you know, I'll be like,
women all of a sudden.
Like I have my wife next to me, and which probably makes them think that we're trying to like, you know, get them into a three-way or something. I guess, you know, like they might think things like that. I don't know, but they react like that. They react like with a sense of like guardedness, like, oh yeah, thank you for the compliment. I say I really like your T-shirt, you know, and they're like, oh, okay, thank you. And
there's this weird belief that women, I guess all people, but women in particular, are entitled to never have to engage in conversation that they don't consent to when they're in public.
And I guess everyone does have that right. Everyone has a right to has a right to not.
That's just so weird to me, coming from the South, where everybody talks to everybody and it's not a big deal. Like nobody reacts.
I mean, they have that right.
It's just normal that if you're out in public, people are going to want to exchange information and talk.
I certainly wouldn't want to. I certainly want to mandate it that they had to talk to you. You know, I think they have the right to
no, but the attitude is that if you're even attempting to talk to them, there's something wrong with you and there's something abnormal about it. And you are violating their right to not
their
be
privacy,
to,
or their privacy, or their public
personal
space.
And that is such a weird mindset. I don't know where it's cultural though.
You're like violating their personal space, and you're also it's also,
but if the whole culture like is working off of those concepts and terms, then you are the outlier. But in my culture, They would be the outlier because it's so
I don't even think
weird
that's the. I don't
that
think
you're
it's
in
the outlier
public
even.
and you think that you're entitled to not have people interact with you. Who are you? Get a limo and a personal bodyguard team or whatever if that's what you want. But you don't just get that automatically for being out in public. People, if you're in public, people have the right to interact with
Who are you seeing this attitude from, Jeff?
you. Chris was talking about I find it up here, the culture. He was talking about like lately now the
Really?
trend is if you're a guy and you attempt to talk to women,
Yeah.
there's some kind of weird dynamic around it.
It's they look at you like, what do you want from me? They
Right,
they
like
look-
women
it's
are
a lit-
entitled to be in
yeah.
public and not be spoken.
Oh yeah, no, that's
What?
definitely a thing.
I
Yeah,
talk to
sometimes people just do that.
I talk to whoever the hell I want. They can
everybody.
paint me however they want. But
Maybe
I
I-
don't
maybe
think
I
there's
just like-
anything
maybe
wrong
I'm
with
trying.
being social. It's not anything bad or criminal like they try to
Maybe
make
I
it
just
out.
look threatening. I don't know. Maybe I have an intimidating.
Yeah, it
presence.
is.
I don't know.
You are a creepy. If you're attempting to talk to that you are creepy. That is creepy. Strangers don't talk to each other.
Right.
What?
And when I was growing
the cultures
up,
we're
it was the
talking
opposite.
about. Like
Oh.
in
When I was
opposite
growing
Yeah.
up, it was the opposite. If I went to a concert, I could talk to anybody at that concert, and everybody would be like, "Yeah, like you'd make friends, you'd exchange phone numbers, and you may not talk to them that much or anything, but still there was like this immediate want to like make friends with people, like to make connections,
I think that's
even
largely
though
It's the way they stigmatize conversation.
It's a big culture difference between like the South and like the coasts, South and the Midwest and the coasts. I
the
think.
first change.
I've said when I moved here, when I first moved, like the first week I was here, my ex told me, he said, by the way, don't talk to people up here. And I didn't know what that meant. I said, what do you mean? He's like, when you're in line at the grocery store, don't talk to people. And I still didn't understand what he meant. What do you mean don't talk to people in line?
The first
But
step towards
he means
that.
don't talk to people. They don't
Yeah.
talk.
The first step towards that, in my opinion, was whenever we stopped answering our phones and started doing text messages only. I think that whenever we moved to text messaging from talking on the phone as our primary form of like communicating with people, but I mean cell phones of course started that, but then the text messaging thing became this thing because like for a long time I was like, why would I text somebody? It's easier just to call them and just say what I have to say, especially when we had 9-key, and I never figured out 9-key. How to make the message by pushing the button like 3 times, and like I could never do it quickly. It would take me an hour to write a text message. So
I think part of it was
text messaged
also
people.
like the initial push against using text messages for like full conversations, because like I can see an argument for like how if you wanted to just get like hey, where are your keys, like just basic basic information, texting is great for that. It's not really great for having an extended conversation that goes but the thing is, people still text, especially younger kids still texted anyways, and that's what kind of made texting so much more.
I'm sorry to hear that anti-Dearest about 21 Pilots. My daughter loved 21 Pilots for many years, and we took her to one of their shows, and I actually thought they were really quite special. I actually like their show quite a lot, even if I don't like all of their songs. I think that they were actually. I was really happy when she moved on from Imagine Dragons to 21 Pilots because I thought 21 Pilots was way better. So. Anyway.
Wait, what happened?
I feel that way
Pilots?
about Nelly.
What happened with 21 Pilots? Did they?
Anti-Dearest says she completely despises 21 Pilots for personal reasons. That's nothing to do with her music, but it doesn't matter because I just hate them somehow. So anyway, I was trying to respond to chat. That's all. Yeah.
What did they do? I'm genuinely curious because I like 21 Pilots.
Yeah,
I'm also like not a stranger to figuring out that like my favorite music artist is actually a piece of shit, and then I go, oh damn.
What's funny about 21 Pilots is though, is that 21 Pilots is basically Newsboys for this generation. I don't know if you remember the Newsboys, but they were like a big Christian band. Okay, or DC Talk.
Wait, oh my god, no, I do know Newsboys. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
Newsboys, DC Talk, and Audio Adrenaline. Those were the 3 bands whenever I was growing up that were like the big Christian bands. And like 21 Pilots is like, admittedly, they're a Christian band. Like the main guy talked about. Yes, they are. They have a song called Trees that is literally a praise and worship song.
Well, sure, but like, are they like a band? Are they like 2 dudes who are Christian, or are they a Christian band? is what I'm asking.
There are two dudes that are Christian. There are two dudes that are
Yes.
Christian, but like
That is a different thing.
That was the way that all the bands were whenever I was. They all took that moniker on. Even DC Talk was like eventually of their last album they had stated that they didn't consider themselves a Christian band anymore. They were a band of people that were Christians. You know, like that was a pretty standard
Yeah. Okay.
line
So like
for a long time.
I think the delineation I make is like bands who are bands who then get asked about their beliefs and then say they are Christians, and then bands who were Christian bands who then shifted into being bands who were Christian. And I think the former tends to be better than the latter.
Yeah. I mean that's what 21 Pilots really was. They started out. He started out trying to make specifically like music that was inspired by his faith and stuff like that. He actually was interviewed in like CCM magazine and stuff like that. I mean, he was actually considered to be a Christian artist for a small, but people didn't know it. It wasn't a big part of like their marketing push or anything. Because Christian labels and stuff like that don't exist anymore like they used to. We used to have Tooth and Nail Records. We used to have a bunch of like alternative Christian music. I am a fountain of information about alternative Christian bands because like I grew up like I will swear by so many of them. There's so many good Christian bands that people just don't even understand that they were like some of the best bands of their era. Like they weren't just like as good as this band and this other that was a secular band. They were like there's like bands like the Prayer Chain or Rose Blossom Punch or a bunch of bands that are just so fucking good that I mean
August
like
Burns Red.
Reliant K. Yeah, Reliant K was hella good.
I was saying August Burns Red. There's a band called August Burns Red.
I haven't heard that one. But like I mean I don't doubt it. I mean I know your taste. So.
But then it turns out one of the artists hired a hitman to kill his wife.
Oh well, that's unfortunate. EmpDave mentioned DC Talk, and I'll say this right now. I'll say this like Jesus Freak, despite how cringy it can be in some ways, it's still a banger. So.
Oh yeah, I fucking love Jesus Freak.
That song is still a fucking banger. I don't care what anybody says. I listened to it again. Honestly, this thing I'd heard. And there's a band that I played for Jeff too. I found this old band that is like they're like the most underground of all underground like Christian bands called Lust Control, and it is hilarious. They do like this fast like hardcore punk thing, but they sing about things like one of their songs is masturbation, it's artificial sex. Masturbation, it's artificial sex.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
It's simultaneous. It's so cringe that it becomes cool.
Yes.
It's amazing. You have to check. Just look up Lust Control on YouTube. They have like the original guy that was in the band has all of their albums and songs posted, and they are.
God, yes.
They are so much fun to listen to because it's it's bad in a way that's like. It's like openly bad. Like they even like promoted themselves as like the worst Christian or the worst band, the worst punk band of all time and stuff like that. Like it was great. I have a lot of affection for some of my favorite songs of all time are from bands that were ostensibly on Christian labels, even though they were not. You know, they did not sing about Jesus. They did not have. It was unfortunately it was the band Delirious that came along and introduced the idea of that all music that's Christian should be all be praise and worship. And you know, I'll even say like I even hold a torch out for some of the old contemporary Christian music that were like when bands still wrote about things that were just like life stuff. You know, like Stephen Curtis Chapman and stuff. Even that's bad. It's like not music I enjoy, but at least I appreciate that they weren't just trying to like write like praise and worship ditties and everything. Like my parents have like their radio in their car is nothing but the Christian radio stations in the area, and every single one of them is nothing but like praise. It's the same praise and worship song.
Oh yeah,
like,
see,
just, like,
that's
over and over again.
That's another thing that changed with me. I have only found one Christian radio station, which is fucking great. I love it because I hated that. I didn't like. I used a radio for a while, for a long time in my car. So there's so many radio stations out like in the South where it's just like, it's not even like K-Love, right? Like K-Love is cringe radio, but like it's passable. There are like a lot of those like talk shows, but like Christian talk shows that just go on, and oh my god, I hate like when I run into them because I think it's like, oh hey, I'm at like something like NPR or something, and it's like nope, Christian radio.
Yeah. I know.
Hi.
And hey,
Welcome in.
I'm Dave.
hey, look, it's Dave.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns.
Hey, you know what's awesome about
From
this
heaven
song? Is that
above.
Rich Mullins was a badass, first of all. Rich Mullins
Yeah.
was a badass. He could play the hammer dulcimer for real, and he could play it like, I mean, he could play it like a goddamn piano. It was amazing. I grew up in, once again, as a Christian kid, we saw Rich Mullins. He regularly came to churches that my dad was at. And so I've seen, I used to, and he used to have all the kids come sit up like on the steps, and like, 'cause we used to sit like right up in front of him, and he would like walk around barefoot on stage, and like, something about Rich Mullins that people like that that I think is so awesome is like his lyrics weren't like, they weren't like cringy really. Like, I mean, he had like there was an edge to it. Like even Awesome God, like when he rolls up his sleeves, he ain't just putting on the Ritz. That's a badass line. That's a badass line that doesn't is like that the rest of the song does not convey.
There's so many bands that aren't just like that kind of thing though, like that aren't just the praise and worship, that are so much more that like.
Yeah,
like Relient K, they were able to cross over and become popular, and I still don't think they like use profanity or anything weird in any of their songs. They like never give a bad message.
Five Iron Frenzy was started as a ska band, and they turned out
POD,
to be amazing.
Oh my
POD
god,
was huge.
I love Five Iron Frenzy. Oh my god, their ska stuff is so good.
I met
MXPX was punk / ska. It was like right on the fringe of that.
MXPX, like I met them too, and like the guy from MXPX told me like he said like he was actually kind of embarrassed that they had spent so much time, because he said like they weren't even like they were Christians, but like they never wanted to be an explicitly Christian band. And he said like he felt really guilty, and that's the reason why this is when they moved away from doing like from being a Christian band. They got what's that song, Chick Magnet, on MTV and stuff like that.
Yep.
And they started moving into just being a regular band, because he said the thing that sucked though is that they made so much less money. Like they made so much more money performing for churches, and that was the main was the main reason.
Because I saw him in a church too.
Yeah.
And their cover of is amazing.
Of what?
O'Donna.
Yeah.
O'Donna. You know.
Yeah. Now, MXPX was good. There's a lot. There's
guys.
a ton of, and those are like the ones you mentioned are like some of the more like mainstream.
Yeah, I try to get the closer ones that people will actually know, even if they're not into Christian music at all. Switchfoot.
Switchfoot.
Thursday was pretty big, I believe.
Which one?
Thursday.
What? I think Thursday. I didn't think there was a Christian. They were a Christian band. I mean, I know Thursday, but they weren't a Christian band, were they?
Isn't it Thursday? Hold on. I know Third Day is a different band. I like Third Day as well, but I thought Thursday was also a Christian band.
Thursday was the band that did the existentialism in a car crash or something like that, or something like that, or something in a car crash. They had that one hit song, and then they did a second album. They disappeared, but they were a good band. I liked them a lot. They might have been Christians to some degree, but I wasn't aware of it. But I mean, still, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I had a lot of respect for, like, I mean, I used to go to the Cornerstone Festival. I went to it 4 times when I was a kid, and the Cornerstone Festival was the most welcoming, coolest environment I'd ever been in. It was like this giant. I mean, it was a huge festival compared to the festivals they have today. Like they have, like, you know, like the ones that you have to pay millions of dollars to go to, you know, where it's just like 3 stages. I mean, like Cornerstone had like 40 stages. It had one big stage and a whole bunch of tents, and like the tents were different sizes. And from the moment you woke up to the late into the night, there was bands playing in every one of those tents all the time. And it was this amazing environment where you could just go over and talk, and everyone was nice to everybody. Everyone would talk to everybody, and it was just like. And there was bands like Rackets and Drapes that used. I remember like they were. I remember like one year they were riding around on bicycles, screaming like, "We make Manson look like Hanson. We make Manson look like Hanson. We make Manson look like Hanson." And they were painted all like, you know, like with dark clown, and their music really is dark as fuck. Mm-hmm. They were a dark as fuck band. They were not anything. There was another one called. There's this goth band called Savior Machine. If you could look them up, like it's like this insane, like freaking like weird ass like rock opera thing where like, I mean, I don't have any idea what happened. I remember seeing that show, and it ended with like an American flag and an Israeli flag were held together like this, covered in blood, and he was covered in blood, and that was how the show ended. Jeez. And that's an image I'll never forget. There's like there was some crazy shit back then.
Christian
not
evangelicals be wacky.
Well, it wasn't even evangelical. These guys were from all aspects and spectrums of religious anything. And some of them weren't even religious at all. Some of them weren't even Christians. Some of them just in a band. I became friends with many bands like in those things. I used like the guy from Fire and Frenzy. I had long conversations with him. He was a really cool guy. Hung out with him for several hours. Like we walked around, walked on different shows. Just like it was a great environment. You saw how these were just people and it really meant a lot to them whenever people came up to them and told them that how much they liked their music, because like they were struggling. Now these guys worked jobs, they worked regular jobs. They were insurance salesmen and contractors and stuff like that in their day jobs, and they had to take time off work to go and play shows places, like it was like a big deal. Like there's still a band to this day that I still love. They still put out music called Luxury, and there's 3 members to it. They're all Episcopalian priests. But I swear to God, you will not listen to it and you'll just be like, man, this is just fucking good. It's just like good alternative rock music that like you just don't hear, like you don't hear any. It doesn't sound like anything else. Like there's amazing artists out there that were in that realm, and like that was a big part of like that when that whole category, that whole like world disappeared whenever that shift towards praise and worship happened, which is why 21 Pilots ends up being like it
became a lot less fun. Like a live Christian music festival was one of the best times of my life. Like all of your major bands like DC Talk and Third Day and anybody who was anybody in the Christian music scene was there, but it was like a week-long camping place. We all had tents. We all went out, and there were a bunch of stages.
You went to Cornerstone?
It wasn't Cornerstone. It's a different version, but it's the same kind of thing. It's called a live Christian music festival.
I never heard of that.
It was in Ohio, so that's probably why.
Cornerstone was in Illinois. I had to drive a really long way to go to it, but it was like I went 1 year with a big church group, and then I found a way to get there the next 3 years and then the next year after that they stopped doing it the same way. They split it up in a bunch of mini festivals around the country, and
that sucks.
And it killed it. Yeah, it killed it. It killed the whole thing.
Because when you have the differences, like you have the super upbeat, like having fun music as opposed to just the praise, because like I think if I remember correctly, like it started off the day, like the first things on main stage were like a praise and worship thing.
Yeah.
And then as you progress through the day, it got heavier. And then at the end of the night, you get the hard rocking stuff. Like,
dude, MC Hammer played the last one that I went to.
Oh, dang.
Remember he had an
that's right. Wasn't he a preacher?
He did gospel for a while. And,
I forgot about that.
So I have seen MC Hammer live. I went to it only to say I saw it. It was terrible. But it was
when I saw Reliant K, they were on the 3rd stage. So they were on like the indie people stage, like where all the low acts go. So these were just like a group of teenagers who were just hanging out playing music at a festival. Yep. And then they turned into something big, and it was awesome. Like that was one of the coolest things.
One of my favorite shows I went to was this girl named Miranda Stone that she had.
Oh my God.
I've
seen Miranda
Stone? Miranda Stone is like
I've seen her.
I hung out with her for 3 different years. She remembered me every year I went. After the first year I saw her, and she would come and hang out with me, and we would walk around and go see shows together. And we stayed in touch by email for a long time, and then I lost track of her. But she was a good friend of mine, and
she played at my church. She was like a lot smaller than I think.
She was like Christian Annie DeFranco, right?
Yeah, basically. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and she would do the thing. Did she do the thing where she'd throw the rose petals and stuff like that in the crowd?
Yes,
and she was such and like there was like 3 people at that show, that first show. It was like a few people showed up more along the lines, but she still played her heart out for those few people. And like I just I fell in love with her music, and I had a crush on her too. I'm not gonna lie, but
hey, look, all right. Who among us hasn't crushed on some Christian women artists? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I always thought Annie DeFranco was cute too. So
I remember Thursday being there because I remember the song "Cross Out the Eyes" and that being part of the Christian Music Festival. That's why I'm. Some of my
favorite bands that say that still exist are still from that era. Copeland, for example. Copeland is a great band that most people have never heard of, and they have put out
Kenneth Copeland.
No, not Kenneth Copeland. They're called Copeland.
Copeland.
They're coping. They're coping from their It's gonna make a very funny joke.
Well, no.
Very funny atheist tier humor joke. But
no, it's fine. I mean, like their last two albums were actually kind of like their last album was kind of like a sexy album. It was kind of like an R&B kind of like get it on album. Like they're not even like, yeah, like they're very they're cool as fuck, man. They have three of my favorite albums of all time. Actually, they have an album called "You Are My Sunshine," an album called "Exora," an album and their most recent one called "Blushing." And we saw all three. We saw them 3 times they came here, and man, they're just amazing. Like there's so many great artists that exist in like this like weird in between space where they don't have a home anymore. Like they used to have a home with that alternative Christian rock community, but they don't really have a home anymore. So they get kind of stuck in these weird kind of like in between, things. Like Mini Rooms is another artist that has appeared, and she's like one of the better songwriters I think I've ever heard. She does this amazing song where she segues into doing like a Johnny Cash's "Hurt" in the middle of it, and then goes back to the song, and it's like it just like destroyed me emotionally. Like it was just so like it was just her and the guitar, and like I was just like, like there's bands like that can just like really affect you and stuff like that. But like we have a lack of like of bands that seem to even encourage that kind of interaction and stuff like that. There was bands that they were out there like telling you like like trying to get you to meet each other and trying to get you to like interact with each other, and like they wanted that energy, they wanted that connection in the crowd and stuff like that. And like that's something that I always strive for whenever I was doing music and stuff like that. So I just I'm sorry you're having connection issues, Cynthia. If you can get it figured out, please come back. But
I found out Thursday was not a Christian band. I was wrong. I was incorrect in that assumption.
I just thought band, though.
It must have just been like some weird thing with the venue where they just happen to be with other Christian bands.
It was like their big song was understanding in a car crash, right? That was their big song.
That's their big sell. But Cross Out the Eyes is the one I really remember. I don't know why. But it's the same album, I found out.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to remember who sang that song, because I remembered that was like a heavy what I thought was Christian.
Yeah.
I always just assumed.
True.
Well, I always thought it was weird how DC Talk like disappeared. I remember like the last time I saw them live, they
split.
Yeah.
If you look, they actually put out solo albums, each one of them.
Yeah.
And each one of them had at least one really good song on them.
But they were better as a combined.
I feel like they were better as a group. Yes.
The last time I saw them, they opened with "Help" from the Beatles. That's how they opened the show.
Yeah.
They opened the show. They did a cover of "Help" from Beatles, and it was amazing. Like that was when they were doing that last album they did put out, Supernatural, and they did like colored people and stuff like that on it and stuff like that. And I mean, they were great. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Like, Audio Adrenaline is actually pretty cringe now.
I loved Audio Adrenaline. I care.
I used to love them too, but like they don't hold up as well as some of the others do. But
Jars of Clay was also good. With the
especially their second album, Much Afraid was a really good album. I never was really that huge into like the one that had Flood on it, but like I thought
I loved Flood really and Love Song for Savior.
I think it's a good song. It's a good song. There's a band called the what was it, the Naturals or not the Naturals or something like that. There was a band that had a name like that. That's sort of the end, but like the Normals, and like their first album was one of the cheesiest like freaking things I've ever heard. But then I saw them in concert, and they were amazing in concert. They did a lot of covers. They covered like Going the Distance by Cake and stuff like that. And so I checked out their second album, and their second album was a banger. It was so good. Like they a lot of these bands just had to get away from some of the label influence, I guess. But I was a huge fan of Steve Taylor growing up. I still think he's amazing, and he was amazing. Like he used to write a lot of stuff that was really critical of Christianity, and that made him really a pariah. He wrote a song called "I Blew Up the Clinic Real Good," that was a making fun of people, was making fun of or like showing light on like how the hypocrisy of like blowing up an abortion clinic and how that's not a good thing, and people took it the wrong way and thought that he was supporting blowing up abortion clinics.
That's irritating.
But it was written from the perspective of this crazy guy that was like, and anyway, but like I grew up. These are the people that influenced me like largely as a Christian, like that encouraged me to think outside the box and and look for those spaces, you know, and like, and I think so many spaces were formed around music and bands and art and stuff like that, and it's hard to figure out how to get people together on anything anymore. You know, it's really like even trying to organize little things in like these spaces and stuff. It's really hard to get people just. I mean, I know everyone's got their lives, and I don't discount that at all. Everyone's got a life. Everyone's got something outside of like the internet and stuff like that, and I respect that. But it is really hard to get people.
I guess
to, like,
the rapper,
really, like,
the rapper from DC Talk, Toby Mac, he still is putting out music. Well, up until 2022.
It's really mid.
But I mean, 13 million views on Spotify is still nothing to laugh at.
No, I know.
Like,
it's
huge.
Yeah,
it's mid.
Yeah,
it's mid.
It's still not. Yeah, it's definitely not as good as it was.
He has a very niche audience.
You know who's not mid? He's a completely independent Christian rapper. Heath McNeese. If you look him up, he's actually talented as fuck. He did a song. He did a song like that kind of went semi-viral about 12 years ago called "Bounce House." I don't think it was under his name. He was one of the people on it. But if you look up the song "Bounce House," and it's a hilarious, like it's nothing Christian about it. It's just a joke. It's kind of like I'm on a boat. It's like a Lonely Island song. About like, you know, it's like that's all like they're all like hardcore. Like I'm here in my bounce house. We got a. It's funny. It's really funny. It's actually like an actual little like gem from the. But the guy, one of the guys behind it is actually really talented. Yeah, I don't know why we started talking about all this stuff. I'm sorry.
Reminds me.
I don't either. I came in and you were talking about it, and I was excited.
I've given up.
Come and go with me to my father's house. Come and go with me to my father's house. It's a big house with lots and lots of room. A big table. What? Big yard. We can play football.
Am I going to get copyrighted over this?
We are not singing it. We are not singing it well enough.
I don't even think anyone owns the copyright that stuff anymore. That stuff has been abandoned.
That was Audio Adrenaline, though.
Yeah,
they were one of the bigger ones.
They were, but nobody knows that name anymore. But the real hero of Christian music scene that everyone forgets, and this is completely in sarcasm, but also in the fact that his videos are the most hilarious thing on planet Earth, is Carmen. And if you have never heard of Carmen, look up Carmen.
That
look
does
up
sound
his videos.
familiar.
You don't remember Carmen?
Are they Satan worshippers?
You don't remember Carmen? You've heard of all these other guys, but not Carmen?
No, I think I've heard of Carmen, but I don't.
Maybe
I'm trying to think of something that I would have known.
How about
it's Carman, right?
It's Carman, yeah, Carman. Yeah. He was this Italian guy that did I don't know, like big theatrical.
Oh, okay.
Songs.
So like
the songs would be like mostly spoken word with like a big like praise and worship thing, but the videos he would do for them were just
Lord,
like,
I lift your name
they were the corniest, cheesiest things you've ever seen. Like one of them was like one of them is set in hell, and it's got like the devil like sitting on his throne, and this little demon comes in. It's like, Lord, the Christians are attacking, you know, the stuff. And it's like, it'll be fine. We can do. It's like, but no, they're doing this.
It looks like he does pretty much only praise and worship, though.
Yeah, maybe these days just look up
65.
Carmen. It's some of the cheesiest, like most hilarious things. This is stuff that like literally once you watch it, like you'll want to watch all of it because of how it's like it couldn't have existed in any way that wasn't sincere, because
this guy has done stuff all through the 90s. Yeah, so that he was all there for all the cringy 90s stuff.
I think he's dead now.
Is he dead?
Oh.
I think he died.
He died in 2021. Not that long.
Yeah, died in 2021.
Well, okay. I guess
from that era, though, nothing beats VeggieTales.
Nothing. You are absolutely correct.
I'm sorry. Carmen beat VeggieTales.
I disagree. VeggieTales was actually good.
VeggieTales was actually good.
Yes.
Yeah, VeggieTales.
That's what I mean.
Good.
Like there were actually good messages. It wasn't like over the top Christian.
Yeah.
Well, it was at some point.
It was.
Not always.
It was at a lot of
points. There was at least one moment in their movie they put out, the Pirates That Don't Do Anything movie, that I laughed out loud. Like I laughed my ass off at. Like there was like I can't remember what it was.
Who don't do anything.
It was like one of
and lie around.
One of them was like stuck somewhere. He's like, oh, my life is all worthless. Well, there was that one day from like 2 to 3.
Oh god, VeggieTales is good. That was a big part of
It is so
that.
good.
And Bible Man. Bible Man wasn't good, but it's hilarious. Like looking back on it.
Yeah. Bible Man is salty, like
Apparently,
which
the
is like
guy
Barney,
who-
but with a giant Bible.
All right, love you guys, but I gotta go. I gotta get ready
All
for
right,
my
bye.
stream.
Yeah,
Bye.
right.
Have a good
Bye.
one, guys. Bye.
Take care. Good to see you.
No, apparently the actor who played Bible Man. It was supposed to be like Batman, but you know.
Yeah, I know. He's like turned out to be a pedophile or something, probably.
No,
Yeah, like-
no,
no.
not that bad. But he
Okay.
was like on crack the entire time, or on coke the entire time.
Doesn't surprise me. You would have to be on coke to be Bible Man.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit.
I mean, it'd almost be disappointing if he wasn't on coke.
Yeah. Apparently, he went through like several like like he would like get on it, go to rehab, then be back in his role as Bible Man, be on coke, go to rehab. Apparently, that happened several times, which is also part of the reason why the production run of it is so bad and disjointed.
There's a YouTuber. I think his name is something Moose. Not like our Moose. It's
Not our
something.
Moose.
No, it's not our Moose. It's like a something. He mostly does like Brutal Moose. He has a whole series where he talks about Gerber videos. You remember Gerber? Like this little like.
Oh my
puppet?
god! Hang on.
And he makes fun of Gerber videos, and it's hilarious, dude. Like it's just like it's like I've watched every one of them. They're
Wait,
just
what?
like it's
Gerber
just,
videos? I only know of the Gerber baby food.
no.
That's what I was thinking of.
Gerber was a little like anthropomorphic like puppet like boy who would like learn lessons like Davy and Goliath kind of stuff. Like
Oh god, those were all of those. Most of those were cringe.
yeah, and but Brutal Moose's like breakdowns of each one of these things is they're totally worth watching. They're absolutely hilarious and yeah, I mean like and it's just like they're just Christian media from the 80s is a gold mine of comedy content. It really is like the
unintentional comedy.
Oh yeah, unintentional
comedy
absolutely.
nonetheless.
Yeah, just like but you can't help but just laugh your ass off at it. I mean, it's like
it's funny to me in like the kind of way that like Kent you know Kent Hovind? Are y'all familiar with him?
No.
Yeah.
He's just one of those like one of those 80s,
Doesn't
90s
he do the
Bible guys.
creationism stuff?
Yeah, he does. Big creationist and a lot of other things. But the creationism is what kind of brought him into the spotlight. And he's still around on the internet. He has a YouTube channel.
Wow.
This like fossil who like you can see like videos from him in like the late 80s, early 90s, like doing this shit, and you can like still see videos of it, and it's like he's the same kind of like stupid that made that kind of thing unintentionally funny, but he still exists and is still that same way. It's wild.
Well, stupid people normally don't change much.
I mean,
like if he was stupid then, he's not going to be doing anything different now.
I don't know. It's weird to see those kinds of things in like a modern like public setting, right? Like we think of it as like, oh, this was like something like that attitude is something that happened in like the 80s and 90s and kind of mostly died out, because it has. It's not as popular anymore to like for those kinds of things to happen. Like making that kind of thing, even by Christians today, not cool, not even like good. It's like cringe.
Are you talking about not cool in a fashion sense, like trends change and fashions come and go?
Yes. I needed to make sure. I needed to make sure that it was what I meant. But yes, that was what I meant. Not cool in like a fashion sense, like in it's cringe to do it now. Like advocating for, even if they may hold some of the positions, advocating for those positions in the way that he does is viewed as like not effective and kind of lame. Would you not say that?
His audience, probably. That's why.
Well, yeah. His core audience though is, I would hazard a guess, predominantly older people, like people who you would look at and be like, wow, damn, they're fucking old. Not like older as in like people in their 50s. I've talked to I've even talked to a lot of people who are like around in those age groups about like that kind of stuff, and they can have more intelligible conversations with me than like Kent Hovind and his ilk. I think it's an older thing. Like it's an older sub ideology.
Here, look, Jeff. I'm gonna share my screen. Don't worry. There's nothing, no danger of copyright because I muted it. There's no. I just want you to see the images from what this. I have to for the audience out there. They just need to see what I'm talking about. But just be I have it muted so you can't see anything but the video here, and you can get the impression without
That's
having
Satan.
to.
That's a cool Satan.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What year is this?
God.
Oh, this is the 80s, early 90s. I don't know. This is called Revival in the Land, I think was the name of it. And so the whole thing is like this big preamble of like this conversation between Satan and one of his demons, and like the demon is telling him how good business is going on this and that, and we've got like, you know,
was that
That's what we need is a demon to help us grow our stream. And
was that a picture of a D&D thing? A D&D character sheet?
D&D was part. Oh yeah. It's
oh my god, that is hilarious.
It's all as cringe as you can imagine. Yeah.
Oh god. It's like the whole like Pokemon.
There's another one called Satan Bite the Dust. That's Western theme where he's like where Carmen goes in. Carmen's a cowboy and he goes into a bar that's filled with demons and he just starts like just murdering them everywhere. So that one's pretty good. Satan.
Frank, I think the reason is it's a fashion thing.
That's not fashion.
The
old
high-waisted pants?
No, there's nobody that can look at that, including the men themselves, that see fashion in that. I know nothing about fashion at all. I'm so fashion impaired that I even know that that's not fashion.
Well, no, it is the thing.
No.
It was popular. It is fashion. If I put a blanket on me, that is fashion by definition. It might not be good fashion.
Well, okay, now we're doing your definition thing. If that's the case, then there's no point in having this conversation. If we're just going to redefine
no. It's
all our words and tell us the thing you're
it's
saying.
It's unpopular fashion. No, I'm saying the reason why they wear it is because ye olden days, back like, I don't know, you'd have to probably go back to the 1950s really for this to be something that was in fashion. Maybe the 60s. It might have been in the 60s as well. Those high-waisted pants with the suspenders, that was like what
it was a thing.
That was what powerful men wore. Like,
yeah. And I mean, it's no stranger than like than the sagging thing in the 80s. I mean,
yeah, it was stupid back then. I agree, but like sometimes people do stupid shit.
I still don't like. I mean, I understand the evolution of the sagging thing and how it became like a thing. Like it was born out of like poverty. Like kids got like, you know, they would get hand-me-down pants and the pants were too big, so they'd wear them like that and they'd try to be proud of it. So they'd like walk around like, and they'd do it like, and then it became like a cool thing. So then people started like buying oversized pants so they could hold up with that. And see, I understand the evolution of like how these like kind of dumb seeming trends happen, that sort of thing. But I mean, high-waisted pants was just like something that was probably started by like, you know, just actual fashion magazines at the time or something like that.
I was using the term fashion in the most literal sense of the word, which I thought as a fellow autistic that you could appreciate.
Yeah, but that makes the conversation, like anything you put in your body could be fashion if that's the case.
Well, yeah, but that
makes the conversation pointless.
The question was, Lib, have you ever asked an old man why they wear their pants so high up on their waist? The reason why is it's a fashion choice. It literally is a fashion choice. It's not a good fashion choice. I agree. I wasn't making a judgment.
In some cases though, it's not a fashion choice. It is that these men have owned these pants for 20 years, and they have shrunken, gotten smaller, and the only way to keep those pants up is to pull them as high up as they can with suspenders.
Oh, yeah, the suspenders thing. Yeah, like that can be a thing, but like wearing suspenders for a lot of them is like they're from a time when like it was fashionable to do. So that's kind of why that's one of the choices they go for. There are other options when it comes to like wearing suspenders or not. You don't have to wear suspenders, but they're from a time when that's kind of what guys did. That's what men did.
You want me to give you the AI
This
answer?
is what men do.
Sure.
Because fashion is only one of the 6 reasons that they give.
Okay, I'm eager to learn.
Body shape, as they age, their body changes shape,
so
and they lose muscle
Chris said.
mass, particularly in the buttocks, and gain weight around the middle. Decreased mobility, bending down to adjust low-riding pants can be difficult for some older men with limited mobility.
Yeah.
Fashion, they may be accustomed to a style that was popular in their youth. Mm-hmm. Comfort, some people find high-waisted pants more comfortable. Cost and availability. Finding well-fitting higher-waisted pants
sometimes
can be
it's sometimes also because your shirts that used to be able to tuck in don't fit so well anymore. And instead of getting new shirts, if you get pants that you can pull up high enough, you can keep them tucked in. That way you can keep your shirt tucked in.
Chuck, why do y'all wear
I say this from experience because I had that happen to me once, and I here's a shirt I really wanted to wear, and it only looked good tucked in, so I pulled my pants up really high to keep the tuck in. So.
God.
One time, I mean, maybe more than once.
Maybe more than once.
I don't remember, but I know I've done it before. So, it's not something I cataloged in my brain. It's like I did this this number of times, but I remember doing it once. So, Anyway. But in any case, like I'm sorry, it derailed all the conversation and
no, you're fine.
But my music stuff, I really did have the intention of talking about third places. That was my main focus. I didn't really. I just like it, but third places remind me of.
Normally, I would stop it because I would be like, well, that's not going to be interesting to most viewers, but it was.
This was
the whole panel was participating in it.
It's a great conversation.
That's actually part of the reason I had the intention of like starting like that No Hitters podcast, because I wanted to talk about those bands and that music, because like I feel like there's this whole entire like just like this giant subgenre and
why don't you do it? When's your first episode?
The first episode technically was episode -5 was whenever when I ranted about True Detective, but yeah, it's just a matter of just like it'd just be me. I was trying to find a time when people wanted to get on and like, talk about it with me a little bit, because
How do you find that time? How do you know what time people are going to hop on?
I'm just gonna do it at night, probably. I'm just gonna do it like whenever I'm not sleeping, and if I'm not sleeping or not watching anything, I'll probably just jump on and just do it. Because it's not really I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for me to get my thoughts, to get those thoughts out of my head, because I have all these things that like I think about like all the time.
If they get out of your head, you're not gonna have them again.
It does
no,
help.
but it's good. It's good to if you like. Yeah, if you're thinking about something consistently, and it's like affecting you,
is this affecting you? Is the
it's not affecting
not affecting me. I mean, like
it's the geek wants out. Like I said, like I read that word thing. That geek wants out. It wants
it's a self-actualization thing.
It wants to talk to somebody.
I think
about.
It should. I think that geek should have you should build a space for that geek, and all the other geeks you'll find each other that way.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. I felt weird about trying to do streams on. I mean, like I took something like getting fired up about like getting all angry.
It is weird. Like today's conversation, it was weird, I have to say. But let your geek flag fly.
Yeah, my geek flag fly. I mean, it's just like it's a
don't
thing that
I don't hear it where it dominates.
Yeah, no, I do need to save that for the for that podcast. But I mean, but there's lots of. But I feel like a lot of people have like something like that though. There's a lot of people who have like a band that they grew up with, or they listen to a lot that they either from like back when or from even currently that there's people just don't know about. They're just like that's why the idea was like all the no hitters. It was like bands that had profound impact on the people talking about them. that never had any hits, never had any like, you know, massive fan base. Like they might have had a fan base, but nothing like that, nothing that ever reached the level of like pop culture consciousness, you know, like the things that just like I feel like, you know, that people should know about. Like, I mean, even if they don't ever hear, even if they never come across the podcast, like it's out there, and like maybe there's a chance that somebody might hear about it, you know. You know, like I would love more people to know about like bands like The Prayer Chain or Kush or Rose Blossom Punch, because like they're amazing. And it'll probably, the unfortunate part about it is that like I'm gonna have to play some clips from the music to even talk about it though, and so I'll probably have to private the videos, but you know, maybe but if they, but then again, there's a good chance they might not get copyright claim, just because like I don't think, because the labels that own those bands don't even exist anymore. So and a lot of them would probably be
I don't know that exempts copyright. That copyright's filed with the copyright office or whatever. I don't think just because the label dissolves, all of a sudden it's not copyrighted anymore.
It might not, and like my streams might get just totally like struck down or something like that, and that's fine. I'm not like worried about it.
Oh, you're gonna actually try to play the music
clips. I'm gonna try to play clips from the songs. I want people to understand. I want people to hear like what I'm talking about. I don't want people to hear the hey, so someone new.
Well, yeah, then that's gonna be a risky channel, because.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna do it to the degree of like where I'm just gonna like it would be more like, I mean, there's plenty of music channels out there that play clips from music. As long as you play clips and then you stop it and you talk about it and stuff like that, and you're adding something to it, they usually get away with it fine. So it's just like, it's not like we're just gonna sit and listen to a whole album.
The research I did said that that's not like, you can claim fair use, but until it shows up in a court trial, it's not. It's determined fair use in an actual trial.
Yeah.
So just because you're saying it's fair use, the company does not have to accept that claim.
That's true. But like I said, there's a lot of bands, there's a lot of channels out there that do use clips of the songs they're talking about. Like Todd in the Shadows does that. Mike the Snare does that. Like there's a lot of bands out there that
Right, I'm just saying, just because people do it, it's a risk. That's my whole point. Was that's going to be a risk.
It's a risk. It's a risk, especially since it's a stream too, and they seem to
Hey, Wildheart, what's up?
Yeah.
How's it going? Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to say, like, YouTube is very fussy as well. Even if it goes to a court case, YouTube don't go that far. They just ban. I'm on my 10th YouTube channel now for playing like karaoke and that. So YouTube don't care. They'll just ban you, no matter what. You know what I mean?
They do bother you, or they don't bother you?
Oh no,
so your audio's your audio's a little echoey, so I can't hear you that well.
All right, sorry. No, they ban. I'm on my 10th YouTube channel now because I do like karaoke. YouTube will just ban you. Yeah, it doesn't need to go to a court case or anything. They'll just ban you anyway.
That's the third, the 3-strike rule thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I think,
3 strikes, right. Yeah.
But you can get 3 strikes in one video, and that's there's the rub.
Yeah.
That's something I'm going to experiment with. I'm going to see what works or what doesn't.
You just want to be careful, because
I mean, I have no intention of like playing entire songs or entire albums or anything like that. It's more about I mean, and Machine does that on his stream all the time, and he does get copyright.
He gets copyright constantly though. He's constantly having to re-upload his streams.
He does, but he hasn't got copyright struck and like banned or have his channel banned either. So I mean, like, but it's only whenever he plays like popular stuff. Like he got struck the first time it was when he started playing Sade. I mean, that's Sade's like a huge artist.
The minute he put that on, I saw that coming. I'm like, how are you going to get away with this?
But he plays like underground hip hop stuff all the time and like doesn't get struck. So I mean, you know, it's usually okay. Especially if you find live performance of the songs, you generally you're all right. The live performances won't get you banned a lot of times, or struck. But it just depends. And if especially if it's shot if it's not owned by like the label or something like that, they won't actually. And some of these labels I still have some contact information for. I'm going to try to reach out to some of them and see if like they would like clear me for it, give me the okay to like, you know, play some of the music. And I think I'm pretty sure they would. So because like I'm not trying to steal dollars or anything from them or anything like that. I'm simply trying to talk about their music. I'm trying to drive people to their music, not trying to take money away from them, because I won't have any monetization. So
Yeah.
No.
So I was Wildheart. You're new to here. I introduced
He's been
yourself.
on before a couple of
yeah,
times.
I'm sorry. I guess not when I was here. What are you playing?
No,
You playing a game?
No, I use that as a mouse. I've got a laptop and I don't like the keypad on the laptop, so I've changed that into a mouse. So that does the cursor.
Oh, you're controlling us with that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you were playing a video game. I just we have a couple people that come on and they're playing games and stuff like that. I get it,
Yeah, that's what it was.
I finally got back into playing video games a little bit myself recently. It took me a long time, but I was playing through the Alan Wake 2 last night, and
oh yeah, I played that.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good Twin Peaks-ish kind of like like creepy mystery stuff. My only problem is that for some reason it is so dark I cannot see anything in that, even with my
that's a
TV.
lot of games. That's
Which
what a lot of
one?
games.
Oh, you're talking about a game, not a movie.
Yeah. Alan Wake 2.
It's probably one of the best Twin Peaks-ish type stories I've seen. Like, even though it's a game, it's actually on that par though. It's not just like a cheap ripoff of it. It's pretty good. So
yeah, no, I hear really good stuff about it actually.
I found one of those sites that had a code for it for like I got it for like $7. Got the whole game like $7.
I'm
Yeah,
guessing we're not ever doing our D&D game that we talked about streaming.
No, we
Cosmic
can't.
Encounter tabletop.
We can. I'm sorry. I moved.
You've moved it. You've been moving and stuff like that. And Lib, I want to talk to you. I've got an idea of how to of doing that plus like the game show thing. I have a do a fast and dirty RPG game show, and I want to talk to you.
I did see that, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on it just because I've seen a lot of the. I mean, my main.
I'm trying to work it. I'm trying to work it out. It's not. It's not a finished concept. It's just an idea.
I'm just like, I've seen a lot of things like that, and they usually benefit from either going one way or the other. Either you're making Critical Role, or you're doing like a game show that's more referencing tabletop RPGs rather than being very related to and using dice and stuff like that. The things that try and go in the middle where they're like, oh, we're gonna do like half a game show, half D&D RPG, like it just requires so much understanding from your audience. Like you have like only people who really want to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, but I think of it like I think of it kind of like Dokapon Kingdom. Have you ever played that?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay. Well, it's a game on the Wii that was kind of a mixture between those. It's a mixture between like Mario Party and an RPG thing where, you roll dice to land on spaces, and like you're landing on a space, like you could either get like a treasure chest, or that you can get in a battle with a monster, or you can land on a space with somebody else and you battle each other. And like if somebody wins that battle, then they get they get eliminated and stuff like that. And there was another I kind of think of it in my head. I was kind of thinking of it's almost like Legends of the Hidden Temple. Remember that on Nickelodeon? Like
oh my god.
Because I want it to kind of build forward to once someone gets like the MacGuffin of the game, once somebody gets the MacGuffin, it should turn into like a lightning round where all like the rolls are like all the rolls are all doubled, so all the movement and everything is all goes super fast, and it drops all the questions and stuff like that, and it's just like it's a madcap dash for things. So like it would be on stream, but it would be like an imaginary version of like the Legend of the Hidden Temple thing where they have to escape from the temple part.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying. I mean, I know it's experimental and it may not work, and I'm completely open to trying things that don't work though.
Yeah, I liked the temple comparison because I do remember that. I distinctly remember that, and I remember them stopping doing it because it just wasn't that popular with their current base. Like it was one of those things where they get it for a while.
There's a few of them too. There was a few of them too. There wasn't just Legend of the Hidden Temple. There's like 3 or 4 of them that had the same basic thing.
And then they just kind of petered off because the interest in them kind of waned.
Yeah. But I feel like there's a good chance of like that it could be cooperative or competitive. at the same time, people could cooperate and like, form parties or whatever they wanted to do, and also, but they could play it like a straight game show or whatever, and it would be kind of different every week. And I
The
thought
thing is, now you're kind of angling towards it's more like a board game, which is fine, but at that point, you should probably stream a board game. That's the thing. You can do that actually. That's not
sure,
like
maybe. I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not trying to kill your idea. I'm just like this. That was my like upon like reading it. My I guess initial thought on it was I've seen this kind of tried before, and it does seem like for most to be like to get it the best version of that idea commits one way or the other. If you try and blend the two, it doesn't mix as well. It doesn't it's not as good as like Price is Right. Right? Like
that is true. That is true, Lib. I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
One exception.
Ooh, what's the exception?
That we're geniuses.
This is well, you're genius. Y'all are geniuses.
That would be a specific exception. Yeah.
I'm joking, but I'm saying but that's the reason why it will work when it didn't work for other people, because we're geniuses and they're not, and that's why we'll succeed when they fail. That's my justification.
So actually, Frank, you asked me a question. My D&D character is like a trans elf or something fabulous. So first off, you're wrong. I don't have a D&D character. Please.
And
I have
somewhere in time, rapping is spelled with 2 P's, remember? I get what you mean, but I'm just saying, I saw a lot of people making that mistake when they were the stream the other day.
Yeah.
The first time I saw anything about it was like, dude is going 50 hours raping, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah.
Rapping. Okay.
Yep.
I was like, what the hell are we supporting?
But
50 hours, world record rape.
Oh God, don't even.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, sometimes a single consonant can make the world difference, so.
So I have a bunch of characters, Frank. I just don't play them because I'm what's called a forever DM, which means I almost exclusively DM. I am almost exclusively the dungeon master. Rarely, if ever, am I the player. I'm trying to change that a little bit, but it's easier to be a player than it is to be a DM. So there's definitely more players than DMs. So at least that I know. So I end up being DM more often than not. I tend to play strong characters though, like knights, barbarians. One of my current characters is a Hell Knight barbarian from Cheliax. Yeah. Oh no, you don't want to be the Hell Knights. The Hell Knights are like actually bad, but she was indoctrinated into believing that they were actually good. But every time she goes around saying that she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a Hell Knight one day. Everyone, like her entire party is like, shielding their faces, like we're not with her. We don't know her. Shit.
Well, I mean, like I thought part of the fun of it would be like mixing mundane scenarios with trolls as being the primary thing, because it's on a panel and we all deal with trolls, and so we'll have a lot of troll based competitions. About
that would be very fun. There's some there's actually some systems, some like TTRPG systems that like is like that very idea. Like the idea is like, oh, you're a bunch of D&D monsters sitting around to play a game of humans and offices.
Yeah, one of my ideas was like it was like an office building, but it's run by trolls, and so like at the end of or not necessarily run by trolls, but at the end of every floor, like every 10 steps is a floor, and that moves you up a level, and that's when things get harder. But you have to defeat a troll. You either answer its questions, its riddles, or its challenges, or you have to defeat it in battle, which is going to be dependent on a dice roll. Like if you're answering questions, it's going to be if you answer the questions right. If it's going to be like a riddle, you got to solve the riddle. But if you want to actually challenge the troll, then you can kill the troll if you win with your dice roll. But if you kill the troll, then the troll is dead for everyone else too. So you're making it easier for other people. You see, like I see like I see like I don't know. I think I do overthink games. I've realized that this is part of my problem with. This is the reason why I don't come up with games very often. It's probably the reason why kids didn't want to play a lot of games I came up with as a kid, because I
don't play.
overthink them.
I was good at. I was the one everybody came to when they wanted to play a game. I was good at making up games. You have to play test them as you're thinking of the ideas. You have to have the people in front of you to test them out. It's not something you can kind of abstractly design without any kind of hands-on experimentation as you go.
Yeah, play testing is important. I do think it is important to, you know, to have a sort of like abstract idea, but you need to start like practicing it, playing it. Even if it's just a strictly inferior version, you know, like
I've started. I've actually been working with the Google Gemini thing, and I've actually done a couple of like mock game ups with the Gemini thing as a I put my parameters and stuff in, and have it simulate what a game would go like, and you have to kind of coax it into like actually doing the full thing. Otherwise it'll kind of truncate it. It'll give you like 2 rounds and be like et cetera, and it's like, no, I need the whole thing, you know, because it's limited. And I even signed up for the 2-month trial of like the Google Gemini Advanced thing, and it still does that, which I think is like, that was supposed to be like the point of it, is it's supposed to like take those limitations off. It's kind of frustrating. But so far the little play tests I've done like it's very interesting how creative Gemini actually can be compared to some of the others. Like, it actually came up with some things that I did not think about, and I was actually like, okay, I feel very humbled now, because like, I mean, I went into great detail about my parameters for it too, so I didn't just like give it a really vague idea, but it's pretty interesting to see what you can do with like a situation like that. And like but yeah, I mean, I also like this one because like Panel Survivor is going to be hard to set up, because I'm going to need a really complicated like tech setup for it too, and this doesn't require like 9 people either. This can be done with like, you know, 3 people can play it, 2 people can, I mean 2 to 3 people can play it, 9 people can play it. Either way, you know, you can have a that's just going to extend the game longer the more people you have. So it's just it's not really something that requires as much setup, especially since it's based around RPG mechanics of just like, you know, creating the scenarios and having people like, you know, roll dice and go through and move through them. So, you know, I don't know. I'm not saying that I figured it all out. I just like I like the idea. I like the energy of the idea. I feel like it could be fun community building kind of thing. But maybe not.
I mean, we haven't gotten, since we've been doing this, we haven't gotten anyone together for a single game of anything at all.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's
so
very
I get frustrated when we start talking about games, because there is no track record of even pulling off a game of tic-tac-toe with this group yet.
We played Among Us one time.
We played Among Us that day.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Really? I'll play Among Us with y'all. I got Among Us.
Dave came and helped us set it up.
I got Among Us. I'll play Among Us.
Yeah, I'd be happy to play that again.
We streamed it. It was on Christmas Day stream.
Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Maybe we'll try to play Among Us again tomorrow. That might be fun. Do you have any thoughts? Anything, Wildheart? Like, I feel like, you know, we've been talking, but like, you jumped on. I haven't really heard much from you, man.
Yeah, no, I don't know a lot about these kind of games, so I don't really have a lot to add. But yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's fun combo. I just don't have much.
Would you be interested? Would you be interested in playing such a game that we're talking about?
Oh, I'll play it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be interested in playing it. Okay.
Have you got Among Us? Do you have Among Us? You have to have Among Us, I think.
No.
Oh, okay.
But you know, you can download Among Us for free on your phone and play it with people on the paid version on the computer. So
oh wait, are they still doing that?
Also like,
yeah, that's what I did. I just downloaded it on my phone and used it from there.
Yeah.
There's games like Avalon that are free online. They have online version that's free, and there's
Avalon is in the game company or the game?
The game,
okay.
Not Avalon Hill. The game Avalon, the Resistance version upgrade thing, and they have things like Tabletop Simulator on Steam. Like, I think only one person needs to have it. So I have Cosmic Encounter, so I can invite people to it. Y'all don't all have to have it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
We just need to set up a date and time and maybe say something ahead of
How
time.
hard is that? Or just have a gaming channel in the Discord. Maybe just spontaneously meet there.
Well, the thing is, you don't want to do it spontaneously, because if you do it spontaneously, you might not.
Well, that's how everything else is working so far. Like the movies are happening spontaneously. Like everything we try to plan doesn't work, and everything that we let happen spontaneously, organically takes off. That's why I'm saying if we don't try to plan it and just like create the condition for it to happen, and then just let it happen when it happens.
I've been trying to get people together for the script read thing. Like I've been sending people like messages being like, "Can you do this day, or whatever?" And like they don't even get back to me until after the dates have already passed. So it's really difficult to. I mean, I get not everyone lives on Discord. Not everyone checks Discord that often. So it can be, which and I didn't use Discord that much for a long time until recently. So I mean. But now I'm like always logged into Discord. But if it's not like a big deal. Like I mean, it's like I'm not on there like posting all the time. It's just there like logged in so that people can message me. I feel like it's the same thing as like I have like the messenger thing. Like messenger for my mom messaging me. Like it's not like impeding my life. So I think it's a little. I guess some people just get too addicted to Discord or something like that. They can't like get away from it.
Absolutely, I have known.
Well, those are people that don't know how to manage their social media, and by now in this age, everybody should be. If they're
young
themselves,
if they're young, I would say they're severely disadvantaged at understanding how to manage your relationship with social media, like to the point where
I'm talking about manage the platform itself, like the settings and how to use that kind of stuff. Like if people are struggling with Discord and it's encroaching into their life, that's on them to figure out. Like that's most adults know how to learn a platform and then incorporate it into their life in a way that works for them.
Yes, but most adults,
people are having trouble learning.
Most adults also didn't
like managing their use of it.
Yeah,
that's something I see as self-determining on their part.
You use Discord to pick up chicks, prank? How does that work out for you?
Yeah, I have to say,
I haven't seen what's going on behind the scenes because I haven't seen any chicks being picked up, but I have seen a lot of hanging out with other guys.
I mean, I used to moderate a kink Discord server.
Yeah.
No.
People supposedly pick people up there.
How big was it? Local? They have a local Seattle one that I tried to join.
No, it's
so much gatekeeping.
It's a big online one.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a kink/kink roleplay channel. So yeah, you can. Yeah, there was equal amounts of
Dragons roleplay or erotic
roleplay. So there was like equal parts like people just genuinely talking about like kink like IRL, and then like you have people over here doing like their vampire knife play OCRP. It's a very, very, very strange place. It was really big too. It had like several thousand members. It was huge.
I never got into any of those kind of communities growing up somehow. I don't know how I avoided it, but I never really did.
Maybe you're not a kinkster.
Maybe not. It may just be that.
Also by being a little bit older.
What does that have to do with it? Because I'm older than he is, and I'm in the thick of it.
Well, the online versions of them, at least, are very much their propensity is a modern thing. Like modern
thing that got me onto AOL. The thing that got me onto AOL in the first place and started my whole social media was the BDSM chat rooms that they had on there.
Yeah.
That's they had AOL they called it Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
They had BDSM chat rooms, and that is the thing that tipped me over into making the jump into social media to begin with. So they were around from the very beginning.
No, they were around.
That's the reason I got onto social media in the first place was the kink.
Yes, but there were not as many of these communities, and they were not as easily accessible as they are today. Like
there were, and in proportion to the technology available at the time and the people using it, there were people. But they had them available and people were using them because I was one of them.
No, I know they had them and that they were available. However, it is today they have more, and more people are using them.
Okay. Because there's more people using like the technology than there were then.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
That was my
a lot,
point.
Like Tumblr was a big flashpoint for a lot of that stuff too. There was tons of fetish communities that popped
Yeah,
up
I mean,
on
and they have
Tumblr.
FetLife. That's a whole website devoted to
a lot of it. Yeah.
kink community. And here in Seattle, they have in-person organizations. They have a whole nonprofit, kink nonprofit.
Yeah. No, I know about that one.
It does in-person events. I used to do their philosophy club for them.
I knew a person who was a part of one of the kink communities here in Seattle.
Wait, you said you said you did their philosophy club for them?
Yeah, they wanted to have like weekly philosophy meetings at the coffee shop.
I was thinking, is philosophy a kink? Is philosophy a kink?
No,
no, it's just
like Plato and Aristotle.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Role playing.
It's like we do here with the kinksters, that we'd all sit around and meet and talk philosophy.
You role play as different philosophers, and like you try to like you try to get to create sexy scenarios against between like
if only philosophers were sexy.
That will come under surely that will come under mental masturbation. Do you know what I mean?
There you go. Oh, there you go. Mental masturbation. That's the kink. Yeah, there you go.
You got Mark. You got someone role playing as Marx, trying to hit on like Sigmund Freud. You know, you got some.
Oh God. Oh, Freud isn't even like attractive. Oh. Like I was just saying as a joke, there are definitely attractive philosophers.
You're attracted to their philosophy. See, like the philosophy is the attraction. That's the kink. So that the kink is how kinky the philosophy.
It's like people saying they're sapiosexuals. Like, I hate it. Just say you're a flavor of Ace. I fucking hate it. There's not a distinction.
What?
People who like say they're sapiosexual.
I'm sapiosexual. No. That came from you. That is your own people.
Yes.
Y'all are the ones.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well,
sorry, you're gonna have to explain sapiosexual.
So it's the idea that you're attracted to wisdom
people.
Or intelligence.
Smart people.
Smart people is that. However, kind of part of the impetus behind that, at least from the communities that I've run in, is that sapiosexual is more about you're broadly only attracted to people after you've had like some sort of intellectual connection, right? Like it's not that the person has to be smart. No. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is that's ace. That's asexual. That is asexual is like this.
How is sexual attraction asexual?
Can it not turn into sex? I mean, if you're attracted to them intellectually.
No, it can. Yes, actually, in fact, the point of sapiosexual is that's the only.
But how is
way.
it asexual?
It's not. But some people try to throw demi under asexual too. It's. But Chris, you're not going to understand it unless you're like a Xennial or Alpha, Generation Alpha, or whatever.
Demi is. Asexual.
They try to throw because the sexual attraction is conditional. So until that condition is met, there's the absence of attraction. So
but that's true for all attraction.
Try to shoehorn it out. It's little kids playing around with language categories that have nothing better to do, and they don't play video games or read books. So they do this.
That's true. I am indeed a little kid. Fact.
That's not what we were saying.
True. No, it's true. It's facts. I'm a little kid playing with language. I am. I'm proudly playing with language.
You were saying you didn't even like the term.
There's interesting ways to play with language, and there's less interesting way, and that's a less interesting way to me. Is
sure.
There's this category asexual. Does demi fit in it? Should sapiosexual go in there? That just like
I worded it wrong.
Ahead of a pen thing.
Sapiosexual is under the ace umbrella. Is my point.
No, but surely
there's no official committee determining this. You know, everyone determines.
No, I'm aware.
Themselves.
Yeah.
So in your world, it's under the. asexual.
So let's go ahead and let's just form the
Wait,
committee
I want to
right
hear
now.
from Wildheart.
We'll give ourselves an official sounding committee name, and we will announce we'll make a press releases and announcements about what the proper terminology.
Hang on, I want to hear from Wildheart. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that if you're asexual, you are not interested in sex of any kind, whether that's after a period of time. If you're just asexual, you're always asexual. You're not interested in sex whatsoever. Am I wrong about that? Or
you're not wrong about that. That has been the usage. However, in sort of the modern day, that language has been broadened to encompass a broader umbrella of types of sexuality.
Like sexualities that are sexual, that do involve sexual attraction, somehow are also asexual now.
The idea is almost like
they don't know how to category well.
But surely once you become interested in sex with whoever for whatever reason, then you are no longer asexual.
I would think technically at that point you would disqualify yourself out of the category of asexuality.
If you are not using the word as it is often used today, then yes. But today it is used usually used to refer to a broader umbrella of people.
Welcome to pApAVishnu.
Yeah, but that's also kind of falsifying the category a little bit to do that.
How so?
Yeah.
Because it's the term asexuality.
It's every conversation we've ever had and every word we've ever tried to define. You have a word like genocide or racism or asexuality, and you broaden it, but in that process of broadening it, you change the original meaning of the word or you move away from it somehow.
I don't think all of the examples that you used fall under this, but some of them
having
do.
Some forms of asexuality, having some forms of sexual attraction be a form of asexuality changes the definition of asexuality just by including sexual attraction in the definition, which was originally built around not having a sexual attraction.
Yeah, because our understanding of sexuality has changed.
No, who's liberals or
anything I said? We have a word to describe the absence of sexual attraction, and y'all found ways to find forms of sexual attraction and somehow include it in that term.
I agree with Jeff, 100%.
And just shrug your shoulder and wave your hand and say, "Well, word change. Well, sexuality changes."
Yeah.
That doesn't address the dynamic of the process I'm talking about here.
But how many people are truly asexual? How many people are truly asexual? I mean, some surely, but not that many.
Very good. That doesn't matter. Basically, what you're saying is asexual. Someone who is not interested in sex is attracted to someone and is interested. It just brings up a whole lot of contradictions. You can't have an asexual who's interested in sex with some people. That makes no sense.
That would be, to me, with my logical autistic mind, that would be a contradiction of terms.
Yeah.
To have an asexual, sexually attracted. Yeah. At that point, they would become something other than asexual.
You could say that someone is predominantly asexual.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, that's why those little adverbs and qualifiers and modifier help.
I mean, I would think that would count for almost anybody, unless they're just someone who doesn't care who they have sex with. Because I was always extremely, I am asexual when it comes to most people. I'm not interested in having sex with most people. So does that mean I'm asexual in the asexual spectrum? Because I'm very, very selectively attracted to people. That just seems like it devalues the term.
I don't think nobody's attracted to it.
Yeah, asexuality is a sliding scale.
Between what?
I've gone through asexual.
How can it be a scale? How can the absence of something be a scale?
Asexuality and allosexuality.
Well, I slightly agree a little bit, but I mean, there's still, because when I abstained from sex as a young person because I believe I should save myself for marriage because I believed the church stuff. When I realized that was overall bullshit, I abandoned that and started banging uglies with almost everyone I could.
What changed? How did you determine it was bullshit, and what changed?
I got real serious. I got real serious about seeking the truth, and I got on my hands and knees daily and wholeheartedly begged the Creator of all things to show me the ultimate truth. And then my life took a drastic change, and I experienced all this crazy fucking shit.
Did you have a spiritual like God, come to Jesus, like, God coming down like in the mountains experience where you saw just an amazing pair of tits and that just like, I'm joking.
Well, I've had several of those. Like it was more amazing asses though, not tits.
Oh, okay.
But,
Well, that's fine. No shame there. I just joke. I'm just making a joke anyway. It's just like, did you have a spiritual experience with some?
Well, I've had lots of spiritual experiences. I've had so many spiritual experiences. A normal person would think I'm absolutely batshit.
Can you describe one for me, just so I understand what a spiritual experience is? Because
before that, when I was a child, I saw demons. What I thought was either ghosts or demons numerous fucking times.
I did.
That sounds cool.
And I used to be able to astral travel. Before I was astral traveling before I knew what astral travel was, and I also saw entities, and so I've had lots of shit, dude.
If I can ask you a question, and this might seem harsh, but how do you tell the difference between having seen demons and astral traveling than being like schizophrenic and just have? I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying how can you tell the difference?
Yeah, how do you know it's not
well?
Your brain?
I don't have like I've not had any I've not seen a demon in a very long time. I haven't I stopped astral traveling for a very long time. Recently I've had like some semi things, but
how could you tell the difference? Like someone is claiming
because it was a specific event that happened. And it didn't happen, it was a specific event.
Yeah, but how do you I think the question is, how do you distinguish whether or not that event happened, or you, for instance, imagined it happening? Because
of the gravitude of the situation, because of the way it affected my physical body. It wasn't
Sure. Is there something that you can attempt to tell us or show us that could convince us that this happened?
If you've never had a spiritual experience, probably not. I mean, there's Bible verse about it. Like if you're not meant to see, or if you've not been predestined to see, or if the Creator of all things does not reveal Himself to you, then He's not going to reveal Himself to you. There's nothing I can do to reveal ultimate reality to you unless ultimate reality reveals itself to you.
But you could explain the experience that you have. I think we can understand that.
I could. Yes, I could definitely articulate it better, but I really, like I will say I don't know exactly what it was. At first, I thought it was a ghost. I thought I saw a ghost. I thought I saw.
How old were you?
I was young. I was probably around 14, 15, something like that. The first time it happened.
Okay.
And I'm almost like 47 right now, I think.
So what exactly happened? What did you can you just describe your experience to us?
I'd rather not, because people copy. I've already had people write about my experience in their fucking book before, and there's so many copycats on the thing. Honestly, I know it sounds fucking whatever, but
okay.
I will say that they did look somewhat similar to some of the popular depictions of aliens or grays, but their face was wasn't as bug-eyed and wasn't as oval with pointed ends. It was more a little bit more humanistic, but it was big and like dark. There was no pupils.
So why are you attributing that? I presume you're attributing that to some kind of god. Why not attribute that to some kind of alien?
What's the spirit? Because it had an interdimensional quality. It didn't have because it vanished. It basically vanished into thin air.
Could they not be interdimensional aliens?
They, I believe that they are. Yes.
I mean, you could say demons are interdimensional aliens according to like even spiritual, like the spiritual descriptions of them, I suppose.
Yeah, but not spiritual demons, but like they're literally just. It was literally just interdimensional.
I'm saying,
alien.
But
God
what if that
doesn't
was
exist.
that was
these were just
alien
eternally
alien to
random.
this dimension. Alien to this dimension. You know,
No, I'm
most
aware.
human beings with their five senses, it's alien to a normal five sense of human being perception. Absolutely.
So, but I'm sure you attributed this to some kind of god. I'm saying, how do you get from aliens interdimensional or not?
Because of the malevolent. The first one was afraid. The other ones that came later were evil and had evil intention.
Okay.
Again, I'm wondering how you get to some kind of god from them, whether they were evil or
Because
not.
okay, Wildheart, I'm sorry, but like I don't like the word God, first of all, and I'm not really in the mood to like explain all this shit.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
God, I don't like the word God because I think God is a retarded fucking word, and it's a word that retards fucking use. And you know, I act retarded on purpose. I'm working hard on getting retarded right now, so a couple more beers and I might be ready to talk retard.
What word do you use? Just spiritual?
There's the spiritual realm. There's multi dimensions. There's the creator of all things. There's the fallen watchers. There's the angelic beings. But angel just means messenger.
Yeah.
So
you're a theist, but not specifically a Judeo-Christian theist.
Yes. Yeah, you could definitely say that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, I grew up with very much same viewpoint as you. I have a lot of the same experiences, man. I empathize to a great degree. And like I had this actually occur. I had a dream type thing where I had this memory of this dream I had where someone explained to me like the whole like the whole idea of like a fourth dimensional creature, like, you know, appear at like how that would appear to how we would appear to them, like how would they perceive our world. And like it was really I thought a pretty smart analogy was that it's like if you watch a movie in a 3D movie theater, if you can imagine what it looks like, if you can imagine like if the 3D things are popping out of the movie screen, if you can imagine what it would look like to them, to like the characters in the movie screen being out like projected into the audience, that's what that would be like. I always thought that was a really cool idea that occurred to me in a dream once, and like I thought that was a really cool like a concept, to a way of envisioning like what a spiritual creature would, how they would perceive a three-dimensional world.
Interesting.
I think it's almost like layers. It's like there's layers that are there that sometimes that we can perceive them, sometimes we can't. I mean, anyone, an intelligent person knows that our senses are very limited. If we were able to see everything that's there, we would not be able to navigate the world. That's why our senses only perceive certain things in this. You know, otherwise we wouldn't be able to fucking even walk around without getting run over on the fucking street.
Yeah, some people still can do that.
I'm still unclear as to excuse me. I'm still unclear how you distinguish what everything you're saying to being some kind of mental illness where you're just seeing hallucinations or visions. How do you distinguish between the two?
That's a great question. I think that some people do not have the capability, and I am beginning that it's a predestined capability on whether someone has the ability to distinguish between what you're asking. I think some people are incapable of distinguishing that, and others are. And I'm seeing more and more people saying that is a predestined ability to distinguish that. Before I didn't believe it, but as I've grown older and I'm more in like a mode of just listening lately, more and more people say like some people get it and some people don't. And I think.
Sorry. So are you one of the people who can distinguish between that, or one of the people that can't? And if you
I have not seen any. I have not had any of those type of experiences in a very long time.
Yeah, but can you distinguish between what you're saying, interdimensional aliens?
Well, I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not crazy.
So I'm asking you, how do you distinguish between?
Because it's you have to experience it firsthand really to see it, because it's because number one, your body gets filled with adrenaline, your body gets pumped, your body gets pumped, your heart begins to beat at an extremely rapid pace, you become paralyzed with fear,
Well,
there is no questioning it. When it happens, you will know it. It's not you don't have to distinguish because you know when it happens.
But that doesn't really distinguish it because you could have some kind of mental illness which makes your heartbeat rate increase.
You don't even have to have mental illness. You could just have a weird experience that just is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you ate something weird that day, and
yeah.
You know, I respect it's. You should definitely be skeptical. You should question, but you know, lots of people have experienced a very similar phenomenon, whether hallucinations or whatever it may be.
Yeah, but how do you know all that's not just the brain?
Maybe it is all the brain. I don't know whether it's all the brain or not. I'm an open-minded person. I'm an intelligent person, and I question what. From some perspective, it is all the brain, or whatever you call it, your center of consciousness, whether it's in your brain or whether it's in your central nervous system, which is the most nerves in your body is actually in your abdominal region. Your brain, the most nerves in your body is not in your brain, it's in your abdominal region. So whether it's from your central nervous system or maybe perhaps your brain or your pineal gland, whatever it may be, I don't know. I'm open into discussing the topics, but they are talking about asexuality and that's something because I've gone from extremes to being very I forget the word, but you know, abstaining and being very prolific sexually.
Okay.
You went from being anti-woke to being woke. I see.
I would not term it like that, but
I think you can be abstinent and still be woke. I don't think it's impossible.
I know. I was making a joke.
I know you were. I don't know. I have a hard time believing a lot of some of the people out there that are claiming woke. I have a hard time believing any of them were getting any at all. But
depends.
Well, I'm not getting any at all right now, so I don't claim to be woke.
My condolences.
Where did the conversation go? Like wokeness and getting laid all of a sudden?
I made a joke.
It was a short sidetrack joke. It's not. We're not.
Oh. Do you think woke people get laid more or not? Or is it even a factor?
I don't think it's that
much. Wokeness
I
more sexy and appealing, or to me, it would turn me off.
I don't think like if you're talking about like broadly. I mean, obviously, it's going to vary from person to person, very wildly. But I think the like long and short of it is, I think it all is a wash. I think like it you know, the whatever being woke.
It's about the same.
Will turn off some people, and some people will like that. And being very conservative will turn off some people, and some people will really like that. Especially considering a lot more like younger conservatives are identifying as libertarians because they want to get laid.
I think the truth is that people that get laid the most are the people that think about sex and focus on sex the most. Those are the people that tend to have sex the most. I mean, people
I don't even think that's necessarily true.
Really, because I find that like the people that I've known that were usually are kind of like at least like some of the man sluts, you might call them. That I knew, like they were guys that was like that's all they talked or thought about. Maybe they were lying about the people they had slept with or something like that. But it seemed like that was like a big focus of like their whole life was about, you know, they focused on sexual conquest as like a big thing. So it seems like, you know, if it's something that you really do like now I guess you could focus on to too great of a degree and it can go the other direction. But it was never I didn't have sex very barely at all like growing up. I've only been with like 2 people.
Actually, the focusing on it so much that you become like you don't have it. That is, I think, where the main like pipeline from like red pillars to incel is. Like that's the kind of people.
But there's the people like there's like the Andrew Tate types that like, you know, that are attractive enough and like they make that a big part of their sexuality, a big part of like their whole thing, and like that can work for some people to have meaningless sex with people. I'm saying, but if you're looking for actual like, you know, connection and actual relationships, so like that, then like that's not what you're not gonna be focused on that anyway. So
that's demisexual.
Yeah, I want to meet my soulmate. I want to find someone who I'm truly compatible with. To this point,
I thought that was just like, you know, being a normal human being looking for human connection and love, but I didn't realize it needed a term around it.
Well, welcome to Generation X, Z, whatever it is.
Hell yeah, Gen Z, tearing down the English language brick by brick.
All I know is that I am married and I am not abstinent. So
we need to. Oh man, I need to have a better saying for that. It needs to be like tearing down the English language
but
brick,
here, look,
brick by floor to lorp.
Live. You don't have to tear down. Like language can expand.
I'm aware. I'm aware. I apologize.
You want to replace,
I'm making a joke.
Instead of expand,
he was making a joke.
I complain about that because it gets confusing.
But they're tearing the English language. The English language is already being torn down. Liv's not going to do it by himself. He's got, you know. But language evolves.
I've got an Antifa army.
I mean, I'm not
under
worried
my
about
command.
He doesn't do that great of a job of it because we fight about it every time.
We do.
Like woke. I know people that define woke
friends.
Complete opposite of what most people do.
I actually think Andrew Tate is kind of hot, but except for his personality.
Oh no, yeah, he's absolutely.
That's definitely the guy in the room that I would probably end up with.
So fucking irritating. Like
Tate is absolutely a psyop. Tate is 100% a psyop, dude. Like the chat is saying.
How do you know he's a psyop? Like,
and also, what do you
because it's obvious. It's obvious.
It's not obvious to me.
Yeah,
what's obvious that?
Also, if you could explain what you mean by a psyop, like who's
just
a psyop
to
for?
Psychologically influence the masses, to persuade public opinion.
Like somebody's hiring him to do that, paying him.
Yes. They paid him with the fame, notoriety. I mean, he was a nobody, or he was a reality. He was a boxer.
The same thing we're all doing. He went out and found his audience. I don't think anybody.
Okay, fair enough, I guess. But
I mean, I won't give him that much credit. I'll say that I think Andrew Tate paid someone to find him an audience.
No, I don't think he paid. I think people are paying him, dude.
I mean, no, they are. Yeah, he is grifting a lot.
Yeah,
of money
but that's only something you can speculate about, unless you.
No. I'm just speculating. That's just me. That's just me, like, not wanting to give him credit for being like.
I watched. I don't know a lot about Andrew Tate, but I watched part of his interview with that therapist or whatever, and I actually found myself more relating to Andrew and sympathetic to him.
Oh God! Please don't say that.
Said in that interview, like
please don't say that. Oh God!
He was much more of a three-dimensional person in that interview.
I think.
Andrew, as in, like, he was like he felt like a human being, not just like a caricature.
Yeah, and his rationalization for some of the decisions he makes and the choices and the things he does.
Yes, that's why he is
sense. Once you heard him communicate it from that like whole person perspective.
And that's why he is a psyop, because he has to tell certain truths that communicate with people at a fundamental level that resonates with people, then to spread his fucking retard bullshit.
What is, if somebody is paying him? I don't believe that there is. What are they paying him to do? What's the ultimate goal? Like what is he accomplishing?
To continue to debase morality and ethics, and to make society overall completely immoral. And
you don't need Andrew Tate for that. Society's been doing that way before.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I agree again, but
and take care, Wildheart. Good seeing you this morning.
Yeah.
This afternoon. Like what is he doing that's extra that society's not already? Like, you don't need Andrew Tate to introduce
the way that he just he's like a cheap characteristic of me, dude. He's like I'm the real person, and like he's just like he's just like a cheap knockoff of me, dude. And then are you
sure you want to compare yourself to Andrew Tate?
No, there's certain things that I do that he emulates and copies, but then he knocks in. Then he interjects all this. I hate and I do not like Andrew Tate, because he says certain things to get people to agree with them, and then he does other stuff to mislead the fucking gullible fucking retards. And there's way more gullible retards than people with the fucking brain.
Sure. What specifically is the issue with Andrew Tate?
The way he debases women, the way the whole over sexualization. I honestly believe that.
Based. All right, cool. Yeah, actually based. All right, never mind. I agree.
Good. Well,
I didn't know if we were gonna agree or if you were gonna like be. Look, I've seen people be angry at Andrew Tate for all manner of reasons. Not all of the time. It was like weird right wingers who were mad at him for like not being like.
I don't believe in
hard enough.
Toxic males.
I mean, yeah, of course he mixes in like some true stuff. He says like obvious true stuff to get people to agree.
Andrew's saying anything original like that nobody before him hasn't said before.
No,
it's basically he's just like playing on guys' impulse to get laid and like be the.
He's building on momentum, but there's
actually particularly young guys. His audience skews really fucking young. Or his skewed. I guess he doesn't have much of an audience anymore. But
well, who? Let me see how to ask this. What were the young kids before, like in the previous generations, following? Like, who was their version of Andrew Tate? And
PewDiePie.
Why is Andrew Tate resonating with them in a way that other people don't? Like,
because young people are alienated. Because young people are disproportionately socially isolated and alienated and have piss poor social skills. And in particular, the generation that he hit really hard was the generation that were like they were in like middle school during COVID. So like during the COVID shutdowns and stuff. So you have that like this one like 1 or 2 year generation where because of their school being interrupted in the way that it was, it's like fucked with them socially to a pretty tremendous degree, actually. That's one of the it is a part of what people are complaining about when like teachers complain about like the kids that they're teaching. Like this is a part of
what are teachers saying about their kids?
That they're like I mean, there's a whole host of things from.
I want to see if they're the same thing I was saying about my kids.
But the Andrew Tate thing is the pendulum factor. Things that went so far to the leftist woke thing that swings back to the retard Tate right wing Donald Trump shit.
Possibly so. But that's how it would work. That's how social dynamics works. What are you gonna do about that?
That's the way physics works.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't understand what the physics thing was. I do understand that like society does, especially now. Now it's worse. Is the pendulum swings? They used to be like the extremes were worse because at the extremes people like died. And people don't really die as much at the extremes, at least here in the West.
The extremes of what?
Not yet.
That sort of like pendulum swing where like society swings far left, far right. Yeah.
Hyper masculinity.
Yeah. Those extremes used to be like people fucking died, a lot of them because of it. But now so it's less people don't really die from those extremes as much. But the extremes are now like it only swings between the two extremes.
I don't think so. I think there's still a range.
No, there is the range has shortened tremendously.
Based on what metric or what?
I guess research? Okay. I'm speaking of younger people. With younger people, the extremes have taken up larger.
So they're either super woke or super Andrew Tate, like red pilled.
I would say Andrew Tate's probably a little further extreme up there. Just because like to like be like someone if someone's my age, if someone's like a fan of Andrew Tate and they're my age, they kind of just have to be like pro-rape.
That is quite an outrageous claim. Because I was going to ask what the worst thing that Andrew Tate.
Well, there's some things you can't even
worst part of his
it.
message.
I mean,
I find that, and you are a Voshite, so I find that I have the same reaction to that as I did to when Vosh was debating P.F. Jung, and he said that all people on the right are ideological descendants of the KKK. At first, he said there's a direct through line from the KKK to all conservatives, and then P.F. Jung got him to modify that a little bit by saying they're ideological descendants. So when you say that,
I don't actually even agree with that.
Might,
like, just for what it's worth,
are like on the rape extreme.
I'm saying right now, if you're my age and you're still defending, still like an Andrew Tate defender or whatever, like still standing Andrew Tate, only the people who are like actual scumbags really are left.
The rapist.
Yeah, the people who
you're
are
saying he's a stand-in for rape at this point.
No,
I think there are many other reasons people might be drawn to Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I think there are. No, I think there are too.
I think that's a little disingenuous on your part.
I think there are, but it's typically those reasons that people get drawn to Andrew Tate now. Those are typically going to be like younger men, not really
like young rapists. Are the only people that are going to be drawn.
No. So Andrew Tate doesn't lead with the rape is okay. Okay, he doesn't lead with that because obviously that would be stupid. No one would listen to him. He leads with
dog whistle.
No. I actually don't know if he does dog whistle. Not at least to a degree that I would like.
What is his overt message? Is he telling people to go rape people?
No. His overt message.
How did he get into the conversation if that's not actually part of his platform?
So, because Andrew Tate is, I'd have to go find the thing. Andrew Tate is does not think that marital rape should be illegal. That's the only thing you can get from that is thus.
Okay, so now you're talking about marital rape.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that if you don't consider marital rape, then your moral sensibilities are tweaked.
Well, help me here because sure. I don't know a lot about Andrew Tate, but I thought he was more about like sleeping around and getting all these like not necessarily marriage, but picking up women. So if the marital rape is the issue, I don't even associate marriage with Andrew Tate at all.
Well, so the way he phrases it is like he goes and talks about how like, yeah, if you're a chick with me, like we're gonna have sex no matter what.
So that doesn't bother, like that doesn't.
Well, you can't say because you're a
none of that sounds any different than what rap culture, like the rappers and rap culture say.
Yes,
rock culture in its early days where they were trying to pick up like sleep with.
Rap culture and rock especially in its early days was pretty fucking rapey. Yeah. Okay. At least the artists were.
Then it's just marital rape now, and then it's the Andrew Tate is not even.
Well, no, I'm saying.
Really,
I'm saying that like this idea that like your spouse
Andrew
should be
Tate
sexually available to you
Andrew
at
Tate's
all
a fictional
times.
Character. That's the whole thing. He is a psyop because he's a fictional character that's trying to influence society to emulate his.
That's what you're saying. I mean,
that's what you're saying. And like, I guess like
I mean, he's definitely a real person. Whether he's playing,
he's a real person. He might he's definitely playing a character. I don't know how different that character is from his actual person. Though, I mean, he allegedly moved to Romania because they have, well, he didn't move there but he moved to Romania, and Romania has significantly looser regulations on sex work.
He still felt afoul of them.
Yeah.
But see, there is a weird dynamic about, I mean, I wrote don't even really talk about the way sexual dynamics between a man and a woman works. Lots of women prefer a man to take charge, and they don't. If you're like, if you ask permission, she'll be like, no, but she'd still want you to take charge. And I'm not really even going any farther than that, but that doesn't mean that it's like you can't even communicate it the way that needs to be communicated, especially now I've been drinking.
I think that's because a lot of people are just poor at communication. I, in all of my sexual exploits, have done my best to maintain as clear consent as possible, and have found ways to do it that aren't fucking cringe. You can do it.
There's nonverbal communication.
That was never an issue in my.
There's nonverbal.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
When it comes to a situation like that, nonverbal communication is more important.
Most adults knew how to have sex.
Jeff, that's the point. That's the point I'm making. I'm saying that like ensuring consent without being cringe and lame, and just being like, "Do you consent to this?" is trivial. But humans have been doing that for forever.
You're right.
Yeah,
here's my question. Why is it suddenly such? How come kids these days don't know how to do consent when every other adult on the planet before them?
Oh, just Frank, fuck you, dude. I'm the one saying not that, you stupid fuck. Just Frank, if you were to say that right now, I'd punch you in the throat, you fucking little bitch.
Hey. You talking about one of the commenters?
Yeah, he said I'm saying the opposite of what that stupid fuck just said, dude. And he's sitting there saying I'm saying with the opposite of what the fuck I said. Fuck him.
And we have trolls in the comments too. So
I know he's probably fucking following me just to fucking troll me.
No, he trolls that. Frank, he's one of our resident trolls.
Oh, yeah. He's a normal fucking little dipshit.
Yeah,
Flo.
I think Flo is articulating much better what I'm.
Flo, that's why you don't ask the question like that. There are other ways to determine consent. You just think for a second. Yeah, that's my whole thing. Is like there are tons of people who
consent was not even even the word never. There's no sexual encounter I've ever been in when the word consent had to come out of either of our lips.
You don't have to say consent. You don't have to literally say the word consent to give consent.
Right, but I'm a girl. First of all, I knew all this when I was 13 because that's how early I was getting.
Yeah, okay, well,
but I didn't none of this was anything I needed any third party or outsider to come and teach me or educate me about or anything. Like,
do you know how many girls? I've had multiple girls not
there's a whole consent
break it off me because I didn't was not who the date rapist motherfucker. Not even date rape because I did not take charge in the fucking date and give them what they wanted because they did not give a obvious consent.
I mean, that sounds kind of just like a bitch. Like,
they thought I was the bitch.
It's two grown adult people, right?
Yeah,
if they're both doing something, the assumption is that they know what they're doing and they're choosing to do it, right?
Yeah,
but it's all unspoken. I mean, it's nonverbal. It's all nonverbal.
That is going to be hell for autistic people. But if there's this unspoken element to it, it
is, and I might be slightly autistic. I don't know.
One of the
And you said, Jeff, you said you are autistic. Yeah, I honestly question whether I am on the spectrum or not.
More people are than realize, and it's a threshold diagnosis anyway. Like we're all probably a little bit.
And I think that might be why these girls were saying, obviously they wanted me to give it to them, but because I didn't, they I'm a fucking lame or whatever.
Yeah, no, I've found that the best way is to just be as direct in a non-creepy way as possible. You kind of communication works.
But this is what I'm trying to understand. Like, consent seems to be something that this generation
cares about,
uniquely struggling with, that no other generation before that has really had difficulty with. Why is
I don't think Gen Z has any particular it doesn't have a particularly unique struggle with consent. I just think that Gen Z is
that way.
Gen Z is the first generation to care about it and use those words to care about it.
Wait, say that again.
I think Gen Z is the first generation to care about it.
So is it like part of that tendency to make issues of things that were not really issues for everybody else?
No. I think there were issues with other generations. I think there were issues with other generations as well. However, those generations either A, use different language to discuss it, or B, they didn't address it. Because like consent is like, that's a human thing. That's like humans need to learn how to.
But like most people in my generation knew probably by the time we were in junior high or high school, not to do things to other people if they don't want you to do it too. Like don't do something against somebody else's will. And most people didn't. Right.
Yeah,
so
but it's still a thing that we need to teach.
So either the rate of people violating the will of others has increased, or what constitutes a violation has increased.
I don't think what constitutes as a violation has changed, though. I would argue in the ways that it has changed, it's changed for the better.
It increased.
Yes, but
I would argue
as an increased positive.
That's just going to increase neuroticism is what it's going to do.
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on what exactly. Like we're talking in vague terms right now, so I guess I don't really know what you're referring to. What I'm referring to is things like it used to be 150 years ago in America that a man could not rape his wife. We expanded the definition of rape so that it included that, and that was good. Things like that is what I'm talking about. If you're talking about, I genuinely don't know. Like, what are you saying? Like, people needing consent for you to touch them? Is that like that kind of
thing? Like
just
to get a hug or to touch, handshake, all of that. Yes, that's a good example. Even up here socially in the Pacific Northwest, because the South is a very huggy. You can hug anybody.
South is very huggy,
out. Here in the Pacific Northwest, if you even try to hug just socially a stranger, like a friend, or an acquaintance at a party, people will freak out if you don't get consent for that hug.
That's weird. I think that's just like a broadly cultural thing, because growing up, even the young people around me, like we didn't have that kind of issue. Like if you
we were talking about earlier, like just simple conversation on a bus between strangers. Now you like there's this idea that someone needs to consent to be spoken to you in public. Like if you just approach a woman to try to talk to her, that's violating consent somehow. If she does, and you don't know ahead of time until you approach her how she's going to react or feel. But the act of approaching her now requires some kind of consent before it's okay. Like you have to get a green light to even approach her.
I don't know. I guess I haven't seen that. I guess I do see that people up here. I do see people up here are definitely less publicly friendly with one another. Like in the South, people like strangers would just, if you're in public and there's strangers around, you're gonna be friendly to them, unless you're like, I don't know, like some weirdo asshole.
Unless you're a Seattleite.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's like a weird like culture thing. I don't see it around, so I can't like speak to
I
it.
guess that's part of the question then is because this whole Gen Z dating like issue seems like a
I have a crazy
cultural, it all seems like a specific cultural thing to me that looks weird because I'm not.
Dude, I had a crazy experience in Portland in around 2003 when a stripper, she was a new stripper that had the rubbery things on her nipples. She put her she bent over backwards and put her pussy on my chest and pinched my chest with her vagina.
Wait, what?
That
was in 2000. That was around.
Did you feel like without your consent? You mean you didn't know she was
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I know a lady back from Memphis that'll do that for $50.
I know it was but I'm almost scared to walk away right now at this particular.
But honestly, I wish I would have. In hindsight, I wish I would have abducted her from that strip club and married her. If I could go back in time, I would pick her up and just
maybe don't use the term abducted, but
yeah,
No,
maybe don't use that term.
No, 100%, dude. Because I think she was an alien doing alien dating communication techniques, saying that she was giving consent to be abducted, which I would have abducted her and left the, took her to her UFO and then flew back to Texas.
I'm so.
How were those mushrooms earlier?
Yeah.
How was that DMT that you took earlier?
I haven't taken it in years and years, dude.
Oh.
Okay.
But I'll probably taken enough to be permanent.
Where did you
go
find
pee.
good
We can
acid?
get the conversation back on track.
No, just Frank. Hey, just Frank. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. I'm 100% serious. I'm sorry you've lived such a pathetic life that you've experienced nothing.
Hey, no reason to insult people.
Yeah.
No, he's a fucking retard, dude.
He's a good friend of ours.
Frank, you don't know if it's been years since you've seen anyone that you weren't sure was a real woman? When was the last time you saw your mom?
Okay, look at wait until Vishnu realized we were laughing at. Dude, look how much of a punk he is. I don't care if you're laughing at me. You've never experienced what I've experienced. I don't care what you do, dude.
Vishnu, ignore the troll. He's literally this is the exact thing that he wants.
I'm saying who he is. He's someone he's a filler, dude. He's nobody.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. He's a chatter. Never read chat. Okay. That is step one. Step one is never read chat.
I like to read chat because chat likes to have their comments read, dude.
Yes, but Frank is a troll. Like if you respond to a troll, you respond to a troll with like a one-liner, a quick one-liner.
I'm the highlight of Frank's life, dude. Like I'm giving Frank a reason to live right now.
Oh, I'm a saint. Thank you, Frank. That's nice of you. But yeah, so we were getting the topic back onto consent. We started on Andrew Tate, and we were hating on Andrew Tate, and I would love to keep doing that with you, Papa. So like, it is so funny to me that he moved to Romania, and he did his fucking sexual. Can I say that? I don't think I can say that. I don't think I can make that.
You can say it, but I mean.
There's a lot of accusations that he did basically a bunch of sex trafficking for women for his weird ass business thing, porn site, but not porn site.
Allegedly in Minecraft or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, there were a lot of allegations. I don't know how many of them have panned out. I'm pretty sure at least one of those allegations was the thing that resulted in him getting arrested by Romania. So. That's hilarious.
I agree.
I think it's honestly, I think this is all fake, dude. I don't think he ever even went to jail, dude. I think it's all a bunch of bullshit.
How? Why? I guess like, okay. So a lot of this stems from your belief that there are interdimensional beings that. It
doesn't stem from that, dude. Andrew Tate is a fucking joke, dude.
No, I'm aware. I agree.
There's so many more things we could talk about. They're way more intellectual than talking about Andrew fucking Tate, dude.
Yes, that's why I'm asking about. I'm trying to ask them about them. I want to get your worldview. I want to have all these pieces in front of me because I need to understand this because what's the extents, right? So for instance, the founding of America, were the founding fathers, were any of them these interdimensional beings?
One of them allegedly had an experience. George Washington had a vision. Are you familiar with George Washington's vision at Valley Forge?
No, I'm asking if any of them were.
I have no idea, dude. But
okay. I
know that some of them do have a well-documented alleged experiences with interdimensional beings.
Okay. So, but what about the current American government? Is our current American government run by interdimensional beings or, influenced, whatever? Is that a part of the them? Because the them you're talking about is interdimensional beings, right?
Yes, it would. That's what a lot of signs do point. A lot of people do.
So what I'm asking is, like, these interdimensional beings, like, which is it, like all the governments of the world are just like run by them? Are they? Because like I'm trying to fit this into like understandings of other similar beliefs. Like you know about like the lizard people stuff, right? Like not the meme, but like as in like the actual.
No, I don't. I know about what I know about personally. I've personally never had any interaction with lizard people.
No,
so I don't know. I don't know about
people,
lizard
whatever.
Now they're interdimensional beings.
Well, no, his are interdimensional beings. That's.
Well, I don't know, dude. I don't know which would the best. I thought they were at first. I thought they were like ghosts. Then I thought they were demons, and then interdimensional beings is one way that you could articulate it.
Sure.
Yeah, I met one. I had a drug experience, and I encountered one before, but it was my brain. Like it seemed interdimensional, but I knew it was my brain.
Well,
yes, I'm not
an actual being.
I'm not getting into like the epistemological stuff about his beliefs. I'm genuinely just trying to figure out what's the extent of the beliefs. Because like
I don't believe in nothing, dude. I know what I know. I'm not into believing in lies, dude.
Well,
I'm an open-minded person, you know?
You undoubtedly, like every person, believe at least something that is incorrect, because we're human.
No, I'm so open. I'm too open-minded. I really don't, dude. Like I'm that open-minded to where like I'm looking for the proof. And so I'm a scientist.
The problem via Vishnu is that your beliefs, your claims about what's going on are unfalsifiable, which isn't really compatible.
Well, I'm saying I don't know what's going on, dude. I'm saying I don't know what's going on. I'm the first to admit it.
Okay, that's
okay.
I think that's very reasonable.
I know what I've experienced, and maybe I am crazy, but I don't think I am.
You don't have to be crazy. The
reason I don't think I am, at the time when I experienced those things that I call the ghost demons, possibly interdimensional beings, I had never done any fucking drugs. And I've done fucking mad drugs. I've done fucking mad LSD, mad mushrooms, mad MDMA, mad all type of fucking shit, and I never experienced that again. When I was tripping balls on fucking mad acid, I never saw an interdimensional being like that, which I saw before.
I guess just the I don't really know doesn't really match up with earlier what you said, like, oh, I don't even believe Andrew Tate is any of that stuff is real. Like that's why? If you don't know whether or not
because Andrew Tate is fake as fuck, dude. And I can just feel it. I can just feel it, dude. He's fucking fake, dude. He's not real. He's a fucking character.
Well, that's unfalsifiable, though. That's
okay. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough, dude. You can feel that way, but honestly, Andrew Tate smells fake to me. I can smell his fakeness.
Well, no, it's not a whether or not I feel it. Like you feel that way, and I agree with you.
I can smell it.
No. He comes off as fake to me too, but like, I asked like how do you know? And you said because I know, because like that you didn't present like a reason.
Yes, I can't. I cannot articulate it in a manner to convince you. I can't. You're right.
I guess. That's fair. I'm being debate bro right now.
I'm gonna have to wind it down.
Yeah, anyway. It's like 3:30. It's like 3.5 hours. So
yeah.
But I appreciate the conversation.
Interdimensional beings and alien sex and
maybe we'll try playing Among Us tomorrow.
Oh, dude, I had a dream about sex with an alien one time.
What, like a humanoid alien, or like
it was humanoid. It was humanoid. To the just above the tits and above the head, it was non-humanoid.
Oh yeah. It was like, so it had like a human-ish body and then weird alien head.
Yeah.
This was in a
That's-
dream, you said?
Yeah.
Yes, it was a dream.
Was the alien like androgynous like where they had the like slight curves but like
No, it was
tell-
very voluptuous, very feminine, but then the head was like obviously alien.
I'm curious. It can't like could you describe it? I'm curious as to what this looks like.
Well, the
It's okay
nipples
if you
were
can't.
the nipples were somewhat rubbery or like, like
I'm asking about the head. I'm asking about the head. I get the rest of the body.
I would rather not, honestly.
What's your
Dude,
face?
like,
Oh, okay.
it was
Okay, that's
kind
fine.
of
That's fine.
a little bit off-putting, perhaps.
No, I get that. I get that.
Besides, we are trying to wrap up. So.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, Vishnu, is there anything you want to say or promote or any last words?
No, I support y'all having intelligent conversations and stuff, dude. Like y'all talking about asexuality, I thought that was a cool topic because I've gone through to both extremes, kind of like whatever. But
you've had periods of asexuality.
Yeah,
that's what it seems like to me too. It seems descriptive of like a level of attraction more than an actual identity.
No. But I've gone through long periods of abstaining from meat. I've gone, I fast,
Mm-hmm.
You can fast from meat, you can go on water fast, you can abstain from sex, you can abstain from ejaculation. You can still have sexual intercourse and just not ejaculate. There's many ways
from ejaculation's not good for you, but
yeah. I used to do that when I was younger.
So yeah, that's a great topic. I would like to hear what y'all think about that too,
Like edging is one thing, but
come back tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. That was my last word. My last words were it's edging is a different thing.
Your last word was bust a nut.
Okay, wait. Let me give them their proper due.
Oh,
go ahead,
yeah. There we go. All right. My last words are going to be edging is a different thing than just always not ejaculating. Anyone who's got a dick and balls, you should probably not jerk yourself off, but not ejaculate.
Okay. Good points.
There you go. You heard it here, guys. Come back tomorrow for more.
Edge responsibly. That's the message from the
I'm
stream.
gonna have to tune in, man.
I wish I had the little the more you know thing, pop up like the da 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 da, like the star come up and says the more.
Chris, what's going on in your world?
I'll be on Discord with the rest of you guys.
We're watching something on the TV later.
Yeah.
All right. Check us out in Discord later. Yeah. I don't know when, but at some point today we'll be watching something. And otherwise, catch us here again tomorrow.
All right. All right, everybody.
Yep. Bye.
Peace out, everybody. Good hanging out, spending time with you, and I will, always, the movies, the shows. That is entertainment. So come hang out in Discord with us, and otherwise we will